Very beautiful.
Hey, speaking of feuds, I think I'm in the middle of one. You're going to have to help me, maybe.
Really? Who are you in a feud with?
Levy is furious with me. He's canceling gigs with me.
That's furious.
Yeah, he canceled gigs, and big money gigs, too.
Wow.
Yeah, I heard that on the wrap-up show. Gary, where is that clip that Artie's referring to?
He called Teddy. He didn't even call me. Right now, he was booked for Pittsburgh, and then Detroit and Atlantic City. In Atlantic City and Detroit, he can't. For some reason, he's keeping Pittsburgh.
Must be good money.
That'll be awkward. But both, though, Detroit and Atlantic City, Detroit especially, be big money.
I mean, I understand Bob's point. You do take special glee in ripping Bob Levy and hitting him where it hurts.
We have an odd relationship, me and Bob.
There's something going on there.
No, but from being on the road a lot, you start to get that brother mentality where you get vicious with people. And there's this argument, this issue has been going on forever. And I'm being honest with him. I say, look, I don't think you have a good argument in this. The Dave Chappelle joke that he claimed Dave Chappelle on his show ripped off a joke that Bob wrote. And the joke is, I'm so horny, when I get home, I'm going to beat my dick like it owes me money. Okay? And so that showed up in a Chappelle show, an episode of the Chappelle show. Levy and me, a few days after it aired, had a gig together, and he goes, yeah, I'm furious with Chappelle. And I'm like, why? I don't know if he's ever met him, I don't know. Why are you furious with him? He goes, well, he's going to hear from me. He stole one of my jokes on his show. And I go, what joke? And he goes, the joke
beat your dick.
Yeah. And I said, Bob, listen, man, I don't know if you should fight this battle. And he's like, why? What are you talking about? I don't. Are you sure you wrote that joke? I said, that sounds like one of those public domain type. You know what I mean?
Sounds old.
And then he got, I mean, it sounds like, it was at the first ever Friars Club dinner they were using that. And he's like, no. And I saw he was very defensive about the fact that he wrote that joke. And then I said, well, listen, Bob, I hate to bust your bubble, but I've heard other people say that before me and you started working together, because me and Levy started working together about when I started here.
Right. And
he goes, well, they stole it from me. And I go, all right. So I could see he was passionate about it, and I kind of laid off. And then I heard Chappelle, and then Chappelle was going to be a guest on the show. And Levy said he's going to call in. I said, Bob, please don't do that. You're not going to look great doing that. It can't. Because he goes, no. So I went back and I saw the episode of the Chappelle show where Chappelle uses it. And it's said by this, puppet who's supposed to be playing like a bad, hacky comedian.
So it's not even like Chappelle's trying to use it in his act.
Chappelle didn't come out and in his stand-up monologue go, damn, I'm so horny, I'm going to beat my dick like a...
Right.
You mean it was used as an example of a bad comedian?
In the writer's room, they're going, this character, this puppet has to say some of those bad old jokes that hacks use. And I've seen it before. Throw out some of those jokes.
Well, you pointed this out on the wrap-up show.
But listen, so it gets even further than that. So I begged Bob. I said, listen, this is not a battle you're going to win. You know what I mean? Just Chappelle's a big star now. You know what I mean?
Right.
So sure enough, he calls in. And I don't know if you guys remember this. Howard, loving a good fight like he should, puts Levy on and gives Levy full, fair ground there, And Bob explains his situation. And Chappelle goes, oh, so you must be a hack. Which is and I'm sitting there like, and I said to Bob, I can't defend you because I happen to agree with him. And so I stayed quiet, and I think he was a little mad I didn't defend him more. But I said, Chappelle's arguing my argument. I'm trying to be honest.
You told him not to do it.
I said, don't do it. And he sort of came off looking badly. All right? So then we don't talk about it anymore. And then we start roasting in here. And the first roast I was on, the Ronnie roast, Bob's the host, and I re-brought it up, with a couple of jokes. And the jokes got good laughs. They were, they were funny. But he wasn't in the roast spirit. He was mad at me for doing that.
Right.
He thinks, I've said countless times, Bob is an amazing comic. He's funnier than me. He's one of the best comedians I've ever seen on stage. But with that, it's just an issue I have with him. And even in the roast, he didn't get into it. He's like, in the roast, you hit
But maybe, let me take Bob's side for a second.
He thinks it's going to cost him work. He thinks people are going to... And meanwhile, it doesn't.
Well, I don't even know about this? I mean, is he thinking that everybody's hanging on this and saying, yeah, he's just a hack and he,
I think Bob is probably thinking, why does Artie always have to bring this thing up? Why can't he just let it die?
I know. So something on the wrap-up show came up yesterday where there was a similar situation, and I forget what it was, and I used this.
People get really I know we know some comedians that were arguing over this one particular joke, and it doesn't come to mind right now.
Oh, Joe Rogan and Carlos Mencia. Levy's with Chappelle.
Yeah, Levy's with Chappelle, and they were like it's sort of feasible that they can have it. Wasn't
that was Levy's and Chappelle again?
Yeah, there was nothing there.
I don't want to get Bob in an uproar, but.
Right, but I don't think there was anything there. Sometimes people...
Chappelle used the joke in the context of what's the joke? Comedian telling a hacky old joke.
What's the joke?
The joke was, I'm going to beat my dick. I'm going to go home and beat my dick like it owes me money. Okay? That's the joke.
Right.
And, again, Bob claims he wrote the joke. I don't think so. I think the joke was written 100 years ago by somebody. But Bob claims he wrote it. And Chappelle used it not in his stand-up act, in the Chappelle show, and the context was some puppet was being an asswipe hack comedian and said the joke. So Levy sees it and thinks he stole from him because, he went to writers were at Caroline's when Levy was performing, and writers from Chappelle's show were there. And it led to this whole big thing. I brought it up in a roast, goofing on Levy. And that's how it escalated a little bit.
But the anger between comedians has been around for years. I remember a comedian being in years ago telling me he left a voicemail on a guy's answering machine. If I see you, I'll fucking kill you.
Yeah, look, you're taking somebody's livelihood. I mean, look at that. That's really heartbreaking if someone takes a full 15-minute chunk. And the big thing is Dennis Leary supposedly stole from Bill Hicks. I think that's complete bullshit. I think the only similarity between the two is their attitude and that they smoke.
There was a joke about cigarettes.
Yeah, they're both very funny guys. They had similar attitudes on stage. I don't think Dennis Leary stole anything from Bill Hicks, and I'll say that until I'm off Rescue Me. No, but honestly, before Rescue Me, I had that attitude about it. I said it on the air. I didn't think he ever stole. And I didn't know Dennis before then. The other thing is the Carlos Mencia and
Joe Rogan.
Not Rogan.
Or George Lopez.
No. Well, Carlos Mencia, Joe Rogan accused Carlos Mencia of stealing from Louis C.K.
Oh, okay. And Levy. He also confronted
that to me, I haven't examined enough. That might be true, but Joe, I would trust his opinion. But he was passionate about the Leary Hicks thing too.
And he was dead wrong.
I didn't see that at all.
No.
We played it on the air.
We only even examined the Bill Hicks, Dennis Leary thing because Joe Rogan's like, you got to listen to this. Wait till you fucking hear it. It's unbelievable. And we played it, and we were sort of like, I don't know. I'm sort of not seeing that. When Joe sort of lost a tiny bit of credibility with me on that in that area because I think he's quick to jump. But I haven't examined the Carlos Mencia thing either.
And it's not seen as being flattering at all. It's like blatant theft, as you said, Artie, of somebody's livelihood, even though somebody may be a big fan of humor.
If someone comes up to you and says, hey, listen, I was in fucking bumfuck Texas, and they were ornery, man, and I needed to laugh, and it worked in this context, and I said it to get off the stage and get paid, that's fine. It's almost like that's almost a little flattering. You needed a laugh, so I used it. If someone does it at, say Carnegie Hall, or where there's going to be a lot of press on television, God forbid in a special, or just in New York or L.A. or Chicago in a big market where, because you got to think, in big markets it's fucked up because that comedian could play there the next week and be in front of the same crowd and get shit on.
Well, there's a famous story, and I never know if it's urban legend or not, but it's supposed to be Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall and another comedian sitting around one night, and one of the lesser comedians did a bit, like a rap, and the other comedian, maybe the Eddie Murphy, again, I don't have the names right, but Eddie Murphy goes, well, I'm going on the Tonight Show tomorrow, and I'm telling that joke, and once I tell it on Tonight Show, it's mine.
Richard Pryor with the Chinese menu.
Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
But it is. I think Richard Pryor was involved in it, but he said, once I tell that on the Tonight Show, that's my joke. Doesn't matter where you told it. I own it because the whole world has seen it.
There's stories. Kinnison had a story of Robin Williams. Robin Williams in the 70s would bail comedians out of jail, and it was really like, why did he do that with so many comics who had problems? And it was because he felt bad about stealing shit. That HBO special he did from the Metropolitan Opera House, supposedly he had to pay off 50 comics, including Gilbert, because he just did the shit, and it was out there for everyone to see Robin Williams doing it, and he never told them.
There was another story to that where the comics, it got to the point where comics, if they just needed money, they'd walk up to Robin and be like, oh, you did my toothbrush bit. And he was stealing so many bits from so many different guys, he couldn't keep track of it. You'd just pay him right on the spot.
Well, why is it when a cover band does, Springsteen, it's honoring him, and when a cover comedian does it, it's not?
Well, you still know Springsteen.
You could play well, no, yeah. But how you could... Springsteen could sing Born to Run 1,000,000 straight times, and you're going to love it 1,000,000 straight times. You can't hear the same joke 1,000,000 straight times. That's the reason. Once people heard a joke, you can't get a laugh out of them again.
Now, speaking of things that you can't stop laughing at, we had the Guess What's...
He brought it up on the wrap-up show again.
I brought it up again, and it's one of those things where I think...
Where is Bob? Maybe we should get him on the phone.
Yeah, no, I think we should, because I feel horrible.
Yeah, for him to start turning down money,
but why do you feel it's necessary to keep bringing this up? Because you know you love to torture Bob. You know there's something in you that's angry with Bob.
No, you know what? No, I'm not angry with Bob at all.
There's something, you know how to tweak this guy.
I see Bob as a guy... If I didn't have the luck I've had in my career, I could be a guy going from
like
gig...
Bob?
No, but I'm saying Bob works hard, and he goes from gig to gig to make ends meet. And I've been blessed with some good jobs, and, I don't have the money issues he has, and I feel... I give him gigs whenever I can.
Right.
I love working we're the same, we're like brothers in arms in a way. We drink, we like to party.
So why do you always pick this topic up that stabs him in the heart and you keep going back to it?
When you have a little brother or something, and there's something if you tease him, it's just going to aggravate the fuck out of him.
You do enjoy aggravating.
I do. I enjoy busting his balls. And so much to the point where the day of my roast, I had to call him and console him afterwards because he was upset with shit. And then another issue I think
Let's get Bob on the phone. Gary, are you working on this, or am I...
Well, what is Bob?
Another issue I think he has is the last roast, he claimed that I said something that pissed him off on the air, and he was going to really get me at the roast, and then he claimed that his jokes didn't work because there were people in the audience that liked me too much.
I remember that.
So, he said, these guys love Artie to the point where if they see him in person, they're afraid to laugh at him.
So
they weren't real fans.
Just voicemails we're getting for Bob.
So the roasts, he's going to call back later when we have no time. So the roasts are really causing problems for Bob.
But Bob wants
and he's the roast master.
Yeah.
He can't take
He's also a great roaster, and he's the one who... He pitched the roasts. Look, when you go into this roast thing, man, feelings, you're going to really... Guys get low, man, and this room is the worst roasting... Best roasting, but worst roasting.
Right.
As far as hitting low I've ever seen in my life. Right. This is crazy shit that gets said in here.
Right.
I mean, crazy stuff.
I agree.
And everybody's skin gets thicker because of it. And it seems to be the one unraveling the most from it is Levy.
That's I don't understand. He's Mr. I want a roast.
Yeah, and so his argument last time...
wait a second, though. You got to take a little responsibility in this. Yeah. You know how to get to Bob.
Yesterday was out of line.
All right, so.
And I even thought it was out of line after I said it.
Okay.
That wasn't necessary.
Sometimes when you're
on the air yesterday?
He listens all the time, and by the time I got home, I had some shit to do. I got home about 2 o'clock, and Teddy calls me up and goes, listen, Bob is furious. And some used to wrap-up show, and I knew exactly what he was talking about. I almost expected this, but Levy didn't even call me, which means he's really mad.
Wow.
And then he says to me, the oddest thing was, Pittsburgh's June 29th. And he goes, he's coming to Pittsburgh, but he's canceling Atlantic City and Detroit. And I go, well, we got to sit through that awkwardness in Pittsburgh?
Well, he probably feels maybe there's not enough time to cancel.
Yeah,
and I hate to say it, but there's more than enough time to get another time back.
So will you tell him that when we speak to him?
Of course I will. Listen, here's the thing. When he comes to Pittsburgh, we're going to make up and everything will be fine. And Detroit in particular, that's the Fox Theater. That's 6,000 seats. If we could sell that out, it's a lot of money for Bob. And I refuse to let him not do those gigs.
He might not want to. And you're very uncomfortable with people being angry at you.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
And, what is it, Sal?
He called me yesterday. He is fucking steaming like you wouldn't believe. And I got to admit, I agree with you, Howard. Like, we know you love Levy, but you always give him these cheap digs where you can't defend himself.
Most of the time, it's on a roast day or in a roast. Okay, and he's the one who wants these roasts. And they're great. The roasts are fantastic. But on the other side of it, this wrap-up show thing was out of... I agree with you, it was. But I think when he rethinks it, we'll be fine. I don't want to see him turn down all his money. It's a lot of money.
He called me yesterday. He goes, what are you doing on the 13th? I go, I think I might be doing the Borgata with in AC with Artie and you. He goes, I'm not on it, and you're not on it either.
Oh, he wants you to quit.
Well, I work with Levy. Levy looks out for me.
telling you not to do gigs?
No, he didn't tell me that.
That's what it sounds like you just said.
Well, I said I wanted to be on it, and he was like, I'm not on it, and, you know...
And what?
And what?
He didn't necessarily like, and you're not on it either, but...
He wants you to quit the gig?
No, not at all.
You just said that.
Whose side are you on?
I'm on nobody's side.
Are you on Artie's side or Bob's side? Are you going to leave the gig or are you going to stay on the gig?
I'm not on Artie's gig. I was thinking about it.
Oh.
But Levy was on it.
I thought you were.
No, Levy was on it. And I wasn't on it. So I said, what are you doing? He goes, well, I canceled it. And he goes, do you want to do a gig in Jersey with me? And I said, yeah, I'll do a gig in Jersey with you. I go, but what the fuck's going on? And he says...
That same night.
Yesterday. This happened yesterday after you said all this shit.
But I'm saying you're doing a gig with Levy July 13th now, so you can't do the Borgata.
Right, but I never agreed to do the Borgata with you yet. But,
okay.
So Levy called me, saying that he wasn't on the Borgata with you. I was thinking about doing it. He said he had another gig, so I said, yeah, I'll do it.
How did he get another gig so fast?
Oh, he gets gigs all the time.
Yeah?
Yeah.
There's a lot of firehouses around right now.
It wasn't helping you already.
See, that's the thing. I mean, but the thing is, what Bob doesn't understand...
All right. Well, let's see if it can get resolved at some point.
I think every town has a firehouse.
That's right.
The issue Bob has...
Volunteer firehouse.
They can work anytime.
They got an oyster clam bake night.
Oh, man.
He's going to be pissed.
He's going to be mad.
His issue is you don't rip Fitzsimmons. You don't rip DePaolo when they're on the show. And Bob Levy is, to me, is
Who's
just as
DePaolo?
funny. Is just as funny, if not funnier, than these guys, and you give him absolutely no comedic respect.
That's your opinion.
No, but how would you rate Bob on stage? I mean, honestly.
I think he's a great comedian. I don't think he's as good as Fitzsimmons or Nick DiPaolo.
All right, but the thing is that you're friends with all of them equally, yet you always give Levy
By the way, I don't think I'm as good as Fitzsimmons or Nick DiPaolo. You're talking about A-list comics there. I really don't. I don't put myself in their category.
The thing is that if he's in your...
Does Fitzsimmons have a beating the dick joke where...
I don't believe he has one.
No.
Or, okay.
See, the guy I heard say... The guy I heard said, beat my dick like it owes me money, it was like a drunken cop, I think.
Well, Levy used to be a police officer.
That is his, you know what, that is his Niagara Falls. That is his Achilles heel.
Okay.
That is his, when you bring up the beating the dick joke that he wrote, and that Dave Chappelle...
But you see how I was trying to help him? You see how, if you, somehow Master Tape Theater, you can find when Chappelle... It's probably the last Chappelle appearance ever. And Dave just said, well, you're a hack then. And I knew he was going to say that. That's what I would have said. Right. And if you look at the context and how it was used on the Chappelle show, it's not flattering. It's a guy who's...
Right.
Also, another
listen,
thing...
Artie,
but there's another thing Levy had, which is similar. Richard Belzer, in a roast, did a joke about someone who said the only way...
you would be funny.
The only way you'd be funny... The only way you'd have a funny bone in your body is if I fucked you.
In the ass.
Right. Levy saw that on a roast, a big roast. And says, now Belzer's ripping me off. And I said, Bob, really? You're going to claim you wrote that one, too? And he's like, yeah, I'm telling you, I wrote it. And then you go in your head, well, someone had to write these jokes, I guess. But if you went to Belzer, and the only time sort of that shit is allowed and fun, and even Gilbert will tell you, it's at a roast, you know, that's when you could use those jokes. It's fun, you know, these old jokes that Dick Capri uses, you know. And I said, so now I'm going to, next time Belzer's on the show, I'm going to call it. I'm like, Bob, please don't do that.
Right,
like,
don't embarrass yourself.
I can't just say how I'm trying to help him, and he thinks I'm insulting him. So the Chappelle thing, he even got off kind of easy, but if this ever gets into a real debate, and I said, Chappelle's a big star. You know, it's like, so whatever.
Well, so I'm going to let you guys work it out. I'm sure we'll hear from Bob.
You just don't believe that people could be ripping off Bob Levy.
No, I think they can. Listen, on stage, the way he works with the crowd and all that, like, I've never seen somebody better at that.
Well, it's a morning of fights, and I love it. All right, Artie, you'll continue to fight with Bob Levy. Gorillo and Tracy might continue to go at it. Who knows? And Fred is even going at it with me.
Yeah, there's got to be a rebuttal.
I thought we were having fun.
We were.
Can I say one thing, though, Howard? That beat my dick like it owes me money. Yeah, it might be old, But you have to admit, it's a very...
But Bob's old.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, that's my point. It's a very... Bob's been doing this for 20 years. So how old are you now, Artie? 39, right?
Yeah.
So you...
I've been doing it for 20 years.
He wrote that joke when you were 4.
I started at 19.
Yeah, right. So if you were telling it in the 6th grade, maybe your parents heard Bob Levy doing it at a firehouse. You know what I'm saying?
Sal, you're much more interesting when you're talking about your marriage.
I'm going to see if my parents ever saw Bob Levy.
I think Bob Levy wrote it.
All right. Well, good. John Boy, you're on the air.
Well, you keep thinking that.
Go ahead, John Boy, and then I got to take a break quickly.
I'm a little worried about Sal, actually. I think maybe he should put in some sessions with his comedy coach, because ever since he's been going to that marriage counselor, he's a big pussy.
I did that Jack and Rod this morning was my favorite Jack and Rod.
I like Jack and Rod.
He hasn't done nothing cool like spit on Richard's cock or...
Now you want that?
He's not gay anymore.
You know, I miss the old days when Richard and Sal would do homosexual acts.
He dropped the whole gay thing.
Let's take a break. We'll be back. Guess who's on the phone? And I want to give him a chance to talk. Bob Levy is so pissed at Artie.
Is he on the phone?
Yes. It's about time you woke up, you lazy bastard.
I was hanging out with my son last night, swimming.
We're trying to get you...
the kid should go to bed earlier.
You know what? Make a long story short, Artie really knows how to press your buttons, and he always does. And this time he went too far, and I understand you're not going to work with him anymore.
Yeah, the whole thing that pisses me off is, like, I don't give a fuck. You can fuck with me about anything, but not about the comedy, because I work fucking hard at this. That joke was something that I fucking wrote a while ago. You can ask Florentine, you can ask Norton, who worked with me back then. And for him to comment on something he knows nothing a fuck about, and then fucking say that Chappelle was writing a bit about a hack comedian, which is totally bullshit. That's not what it was. You know, you don't have to open your mouth just because you got to fucking talk all the fucking time.
Bob, have you ever seen the bit that Chappelle did?
Yes, I did.
And what about when you called in and challenged Chappelle on it? What did he say?
He said that his people were in the audience the fucking 3 weeks before that happened.
No, he didn't.
It's the fucking truth. Paul was sitting with them, Artie.
Yeah, but...
You weren't at the fucking gig.
So you claim you wrote... Just let me get the joke straight again. It's the joke where I'm going to beat my dick like it owes me money.
Yes.
When did you write that joke?
That joke probably in the late 80s. Probably in the late 80s.
Okay.
And I just left it in. I used it as an opening line, just a quick opening line to get the audience right off the bat.
Now, what about the joke that you say Belzer stole, where the only way you'd be funny, the only funny bone you'd ever have in your body is if I fucked you in the ass?
That joke was actually given by another comedian to him at a roast that I did already on a roast.
But did you write that joke as well?
I wrote that joke for a Robin roast a long time ago, but at the same time...
You wrote that joke for a Robin roast?
That was a while ago.
So what year did you write that joke?
Whenever the hell that Robin, when the meanest listener was.
So you wrote that joke in 2002-ish or 1-ish?
1. I don't know. That's whenever the roast was.
Here, I think, Artie, let me clarify. I think this is what Bob's point is. You know his sore spot.
No.
And on the wrap-up show, you keep bringing up his sore spot.
I think before...
And you keep calling him a hack comic in a way.
Okay.
Exactly. That's what you said. You said he was making fun of a hack comedian. So you're calling me...
He was. Chappelle, in that bit, Chappelle was... The character was saying something that a sort of hacky comedian would say.
He was a junkie singing a song about drugs or something like that. It had nothing to do with a hack comedian.
Right. Well, I mean, in other words, it was a guy who wasn't a comic.
You know Bob's weak point. This is his Achilles heel.
But I think before we can get on to what you're talking about, Howard, we have to settle this argument somehow, because he knows I'm always going to think this way. And well, Greg Fitzsimmons is another comedian is sitting here. Greg, do you think Bob wrote either one of those jokes?
There is examples of what they call parallel writing, where two people can have the same concept, but I will say that I remember Joe Rogan, because we started out in Boston together in the, early 90s, saying, I fucked her, she fucked me like she owed me money, but I don't remember the dick thing. But as far as the only funny bone in your body being if I fucked you in the ass, that feels like a joke I've just heard on a lot of roasts.
It's been on the Internet as early as 1998, I know of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that... but I'm not saying that Bob
claims he wrote it after 2000.
But I could see somebody sitting in a room and thinking of that joke. It's a pretty pedestrian idea, and it's a funny joke. But usually if you think of something that's that, easy, you sometimes will go
What's going to be now? I have to move this along. Bob, what is going to be? You are no longer talking to Artie?
No, I mean, look, I love the guy, and I thought he fucking liked me, but I mean...
I do like you, Bob. I'm busting your balls.
He puts me on the show. No, but I could take a fucking beating on anything, and I do.
But you
Does
can't.
he pick on you more than the other comedians?
Totally, man. I mean, he doesn't say a fucking peep. If Dean Cook came in there tomorrow, he'd be fucking kissing his ass. You know?
No, I don't claim that.
Fucking bullshit.
Do you think Artie...
You don't fucking badmouth one fucking comedian.
Do you think Artie...
Except Chappelle.
Do you think Artie...
I never badmouth. I said his writers fucking took it. If you listen for the 10th fucking time.
I've heard that you canceled several gigs that you're going to do with Artie.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Bob, first of all, you really think Chappelle's writers stole that joke from
They were in the fucking audience, Artie. Paul was sitting right next to them. They were fucking in the audience.
All right, so, okay, fine. Well, let's just agree to disagree with that. First of all, how are we going to... So, we have 3 gigs coming up. You canceled 2 of them. How are we supposed to get through Pittsburgh with you mad at me?
Well, cancel Pittsburgh. I'll fucking stay home with my son.
Why would you do that?
I don't fucking need to...
Now you're being ridiculous. You're being ridiculous.
I don't treat my friends like that. I fucking treat my friends like friends, all right? I don't fuck them over.
Have I not been a good friend to you over the years?
Yeah, and I've been a good friend to you, and I've never fucked you.
Okay, so listen, I'm sorry. I'm apologizing then. I'll apologize for what I think bringing it up yesterday was out of line. I shouldn't have brought it up there.
You know, this has been done for years. This has been over for fucking years. Chappelle, we talked, it was over, and that was it. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't think you settled anything with Chappelle.
I'm a hack comedian.
Do you think it's because Artie has said it? He said it as early as this morning. Artie said, you know, if it wasn't for a couple of breaks that I got, I could end up being Bob Levy.
Oh. No.
You know what? It ain't too fucking bad being me, okay?
No, Bob. I didn't say it's so bad. I'm saying that, you know, he's a guy who, you know, has to work and get gigs and you know, I could turn down gigs now because I've been lucky. And I'm saying I could easily have had that happen to me. I got a couple of good breaks, that's all.
You mean it could have easily happened to you that you'd be Bob Levy?
No. It could have happened to me where I have bigger money issues in my life. That's what I'm talking about.
I don't have any issues. I'm fucking happy with... That's all that fucking matters.
All right, fine.
I don't give a fuck.
Fine. That wasn't meant to be an insult. But I apologize for what I said yesterday. It was out of line on the wrap-up show. I'm being dead serious.
Artie, you did say there are plenty of firehouses where Bob can perform, but he doesn't work with you.
I was trying to be funny. But clearly, look, the king of the roast here clearly is sensitive. I mean, you know.
Isn't it a little weird, Artie?
It's like I
Why
never
is Bob so
anybody
upset
about comedy. I fucking help people all the fucking time. I work with 5 fucking guys every weekend because we're friends and we want to keep something together. And I don't fucking go out there and try to fucking throw them under a fucking bus.
Bob, does it upset you that Artie said as early as this morning that you are nowhere near the level of Greg Fitzsimmons?
I said I think Greg and Nick are funnier than me and Bob. I said they're better comics as far as I'm concerned than myself.
I know I do my job, and that's all that matters. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, no, that doesn't mean anything. I mean, Greg and Nick are A-list guys. That's me being truthful, and me and you could go together on the B-list tour and make money.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, look, you put people after me, let's see how good they are.
Right.
I got
Bob, you kill. Listen, you kill on stage. I've never, and it is very, even though I'm on the show, it's very hard to follow you.
What's going to be, Artie? I see that Bob has had it with you, and I don't see him accepting your... I don't think that's true at all,
He's
not accepting your apology.
No,
he's canceling gigs, Artie.
Are you canceling Pittsburgh as well, Bob?
Yeah, I mean, if it comes down to it, I'll cancel it, because the other 2 I'm definitely canceling. With Sal.
Well, Bob, how are we supposed to
Maybe you look down on him because he does that hacky blue cheese bit you don't like.
Again, I'm sure Bob wrote that. That I know he wrote.
You know he wrote the blue cheese.
Eating blue cheese out of a chick's ass.
Do you think Chappelle might steal that?
Maybe if he eats watermelon. No, I'm kidding.
No. See, here's the other thing about Levy. Here's the other thing about Levy. I did him a favor, and well, you know what? I'm not even going to go there.
What is the favor? Go ahead.
I'm not going to go there.
No. Go ahead.
I'm not going to go there.
He wants to hear. Do you want to hear this, Bob?
No, I don't.
I don't care, man.
He doesn't want to hear it.
What favor did you do him? You mean you did him a favor booking him, is what you're saying?
No. Bob and me have always done business together. We've made each other money. I think Bob is dumb for canceling these gigs because I love him and I want him on the gigs. And I do a better show when Bob's there. The fans love him, and I think canceling these gigs is not something I want, Bob, and I don't think deep down you want it. I think you're mad right now, and I'm apologizing.
I didn't want to, but I don't like to fucking be treated. Look, you can fucking goof.
So listen, are you making rules for the roast now, by the way? Because I know you were mad at after I made a joke about this on a roast. Now, Mr. Roastmaster here, can I not talk about your comedy? We talk about each other's comedy.
Yeah, Bob, can I give you a list of stuff I don't want you to talk about me?
Roast. I don't give a fuck about that. It's when you like, something came up. All you had to do was say, "Oh yeah, that happened." You don't have to say, "Oh yeah, don't get me started on that." Like it's the fucking biggest thing in the world. It's not.
You were pissed off, Bob. You called a bunch of people afterwards. You were pretty upset.
No, he's admitting that. He's saying he's upset, and look, it was a dumb thing to say.
Gary, you're a fucking genius too.
I'm just telling you how it went.
What did he say?
I know how it went.
I'm not piling on you. I'm just telling you. Hey, can I ask Artie a question? Because I'm listening to
the bit that Levy has where he can't spell, I mean, like, that's a great bit that he wrote.
Right. But, Artie, I want to ask you a question, and be honest about this. It doesn't sound like you're being totally honest. When you say you could have been like Bob, but you caught a couple of breaks, do you really believe that, or do you think that you've done better because, A, you're funnier, and B, you might have a different work ethic?
No. I believe he has a fantastic work ethic. That I know for sure. I'm saying I have gotten very lucky in my career.
But is that luck?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is. Absolutely. Without question, a lot of it's luck. I think Levy is a great stand-up comic.
Are you buying this, Howard?
No.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're being really nice.
I said you may be telling the truth, but nobody believes it.
Right. Well, you didn't get lucky. You're a funny guy. I'm not saying Bob's not funny. Bob's a really funny guy. Bob
I am the captain of the Italy team in the World Cup of Comedy right now in Syria.
It's true.
But
can't argue with that.
No. You know what, Gary? You're looking too far into it. Bob is a very talented. Well, the first time
Bob, do you accept Artie's apology, or are you sticking to your guns and not doing the shows?
No, I booked over the shows.
Ooh. Oh, come on, Bob.
In the same town, the same night.
Now you're being ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Look, it feels like I can't fucking trust somebody. I don't like to fucking be around somebody like that. You know what I mean? I don't fucking do that to people.
I'm sorry then. Because I've seen Bob kill so hard that people are barreled over laughing and they actually hit their head on the hose of the truck.
What truck is that?
Do it, Artie. In 5 years, you'll be fucking playing them.
No, I won't. I'll be dead in 5 years. Now, come on, you know that.
Bob, what would it take from Artie to get you back on those shows? What would he have to do?
Who's that, Steve the intern?
No, Greg Fitzsimmons.
It's Greg, the guy with the show on Sirius.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I'm my own intern.
I need a fucking break. I want to do my own fucking thing with Sal and the boys.
Sal and the boys.
Sounds like Bob's really upset with you.
Listen,
I hear him crying.
Bob, I think you're being ridiculous now. If you rethink this, you'll want to look. Detroit is going to be a big payday for us. Come on, you don't want to do that. Come on.
I don't know.
I thought your kid was at school.
No, he's home.
Oh,
he's done with school. He came upstairs.
Bob doesn't want his kid to grow up being a better speller than him. He's keeping him home.
True. I'm keeping him home.
This proves a lot about Levy. I fucked with his kid in the roast, and he doesn't give a fuck. It's about his comedy.
No.
And it's only 2 jokes. I brought up 2 fucking jokes you used. The rest of your act is fantastic.
No, but listen to me. That is something, if somebody takes from you, they're taking from you, okay? You got to stand behind if somebody takes from you, and you have to fight it.
Well, I think Bob is making it clear. He is not making up.
I would love to pull the fight he had with Chappelle on the air.
Well, he is
first
not.
of all, Levy
forget that. He is not making up.
a lot when he got on the air with him.
Artie.
Oh, yeah, because I'm arguing on the phone because I wasn't allowed to come in and go face-to-face with him. You know what I mean?
You weren't allowed to? I didn't know that. I didn't know you weren't allowed to come in.
Yeah, because he's a
But do you remember when Chappelle said, remember when you said I wrote that joke? You remember what Chappelle said? He said, oh, then you must be a hack.
Artie, I don't remember arguing with somebody.
All right, listen, guys, I am sorry. This is so upsetting to me. You guys were good friends. It is. Ralph, what do you want to add to this?
In all seriousness, Bob, I don't get this. You're a comedian. You bust balls for a living. How can you get so twisted about Artie busting balls?
Because
Ralph, it's not about busting balls, Ralph. If you listen to, he's calling me a fucking hack. He's saying that, oh, please, like you wrote that. There's no facts on his merit. If there was, I could take anything, Ralph, and you know that. It has nothing to do with that.
But it's like you're drawing more attention to it. It's not like it's even a great joke. I mean, it's not like the best joke ever written.
But it's his story.
Jokes are working. Please, stop.
I know it's funny, and it's a chuckle. I mean,
that's what you got to mirror. That's what you know what it's funny.
All right. Thank you, Ralph.
Do we not have a clip of the Chappelle bit?
We don't have that right now. Howard, go ahead in Jersey City, New Jersey.
Good morning, everybody. It's crazy, all this anger coming from these funny guys.
Right.
Bob, what the fuck? Relax over there.
And Howard, relax.
You're getting crazy. Artie's busting balls. He's angry, Artie. You know that.
No, I know he's angry, and it makes me upset. We're friends. We work together. I want to keep working with him. I want to keep working with you.
I would never do what you do to me. I would never attack anything that you ever did. Never.
Well, there you go. There's a good friend, man.
I just thought it was funny. I thought it was funny that...
Artie, you don't know the meaning of a true friend. You do it to everybody. Everybody.
Who else do I do it?
When you call Dr. Keith Abloh, tell him this is part of your psychological problem. You do one good thing, 10 steps forward, 25 steps back, Artie. It's a problem. Oh, I want to make up. I didn't mean it. That's all you say. It started with Dana. I'd like you to bring some of your true friends up there, Artie.
All right.
If you get Jeff $100, you do it to him. If you take Bob Levy on a gig, you do it to him. Artie, you do it to everyone, and that's part of your
All right,
problem.
there we go.
I love you. The shows are great.
Thank you.
If you weren't on live for me, Howard, I don't know what I would do. I love you, Howard.
Thank you, baby. Okay, there's Marianne from Brooklyn. Well, this guys, I can't solve this problem right now. I don't know what to make of it.
I can't believe that you in your Solomon-like way can't figure this out.
Bob, did you really book other gigs on those dates? Did you really book other gigs on those dates?
Yeah, I booked over AC and I booked over Detroit.
Why would you do that? Well, I mean, we haven't talked yet. We could talk this out. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
It drives me fucking crazy. It pisses me off. I can't.
All right, well then,
Howard, do you want to set up a sit down?
Look, I'll do it right now, real quick. Artie, you were a little bit out of line.
Okay, I agree with that. I admitted that.
In other words, Bob wasn't around. You got on the wrap-up show and you made him look like he was a bit of a, jerk.
No, when Bob said that he thought that joke was stolen from him, is it better to laugh behind his back or say, look, Bob, I got to be honest with you?
He feels you bring it up too much, like you bring it up over and over. It's his weak spot. You're killing him.
I have tons of people that can verify that is mine. And
all right, but Bob, you're not totally innocent either. Like, you brought in that chick the other day who's into fat guys.
That wasn't...
And turns out she got married.
Well, what about that, Bob? What about that? I'm sure you chuckled with all your friends about that.
That was not supposed to go the way that went.
Well, this isn't going the way I thought it would go, either.
That was not my intentions, okay?
So what I'm saying is, there's a little bit of fault here on either side, and I feel...
Yeah, but I got to overlook the fact, because I'm sure he was chuckling. Hey, I got a chick who's into fat guys.
You did apologize. But Bob
somebody that liked you, that wanted to meet you.
Stop it, Bob. Why wouldn't you call me? Call me directly, then. Why go behind my back and put it on the show? How dare you? I don't even want you in Pittsburgh.
I've been sending in bits. That's what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
So why does it have to be at the expense of me, your friend?
There's other ones.
All right. Greg is getting upset.
Well, I just think that both you guys should understand that the Godfather has set up this sit-down and that whatever he deems appropriate right now should be honored by both parties. Is that agreed to?
I don't know what you just said.
You're going to tell them what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Me?
But that's what the Godfather does. And then both parties have to agree.
You guys each have to pay me $1,000 apiece. And
You're no Godfather.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Listen, that's the way the mob would work. Actually, Bob, and I don't want to upset Bob with this, but in Chappelle's new HBO special, he eats
blue cheese?
Blue cheese out of a chick's ass. And I don't...
No, it's honey mustard.
Bob.
He changed it around. It was blue cheese.
Bob, Artie has apologized to you.
It's watermelon.
He says will you not say this anymore? Will you stop saying it?
I'll stop.
Okay.
Okay. Listen, I admit yesterday I crowbarred it in there because I think it's funny to talk about. But just like I have to forget about all the bullshit he gives me, I'll forget about this. Mr. Sensitive over here. And I won't use it at the roast anymore. You send me a list of what I'm allowed to bust your balls about.
I don't give a shit. You can do it on the roast, but you fucking reeled that in. They were doing a barbecue the rib commercial. You threw it in, please.
Well, listen, we're trying to help Carson's rib. I know. All right, listen, Bob, okay, well, I promise I will never do that again. And
it's not that. You don't have to promise anything. It's just fucking treat a person like a friend if they're a friend.
I think I treat you like a friend, Bob. And it was two guys who were friends. I was busted. You weren't there. I don't think
you realized how sensitive you were.
Yeah, and you weren't there to defend yourself.
All right, Bob, you are not going on those shows with Artie, right?
Why?
He told me.
He says he's booked over him, Artie. What is he going to do?
I just know he's shooting himself in the foot. I know they're better money than he could make somewhere else. He's shooting himself in the foot.
How do you know that? You see, there you go, thinking I don't make any money, too.
Bob, I know you. We know each other. You know that Fox Theater, 6,000 seats, that's going to be a great gig.
Hey, Artie, you want to tell that story about Bob one more time since it's the last time we can hear it?
Put it to rest.
It is a good story. And first of all, I didn't know you wrote the joke about the only way you'd have a funny bone in your body is if I fucked. I didn't know you wrote that in the early 2000s. I have seen that. I have seen that as
he's still giving you the business, Bob.
I didn't know you wrote the one about waiting 30 minutes to go swimming either, so fucking give me a break.
Well, listen, absolutely. That could be an old joke as well. And I'm not going to defend that. I'm not going to defend that.
You know, I wouldn't go on attacking you about it. That's what I'm saying.
But, Bob, the point is I never came to you and said someone stole that joke. Do you know what I mean? I never if I heard that, Artie, I would be pissed off. That's an old joke.
Bob does not accept your apology. Am I right, Bob?
I was trying to do Bob a favor and saying, please don't make a big deal. Don't make a big deal out of this because it's going to become an issue, and now it's a big deal.
Now it's a big issue. You apologize. Bob,
Fine.
Fine what? Do you accept his apology?
Yes, I do. Okay.
Listen, do not book June 29th, okay? Come to Pittsburgh.
All right, we'll talk.
Now I feel bad that we'll work something out monetarily, but because Detroit's going to be big. Get out of that.
Oh, that's what this is. Bob's going to hold him up for a little extra dough.
So you will pay Bob. You will work out a remuneration.
No. I'm going to work out a situation. Because actually, Greg just agreed to do Detroit, too.
No. Now I'm not.
You can't?
I want more money.
I'm not working with this.
All right, thank you,
I'm losing all the guys I work with on the road now over this. So, Bob, listen, get rid of September 15th. Do me a favor.
I'll see you next week. I'll talk, or I'll be there.
Well, do it now so the guy who you booked 15th with knows.
And keep September 11th open also.
Hey, listen, Bob, the 15th might not work out. What if there's a fire that night?
You're saying Bob only works firehouses? And there's going to be a fire and his whole audience is going to have to get up and leave?
That was Artie's version of now go get your shine box.
Yeah.
I hope Bob doesn't react the same way Pesci did. No,
get your lunchbox, Fatty.
Bob, you want to work with Artie that night, or do you want to work at a firehouse where your audience could potentially leave if there's a fire? Is what Artie's saying.
I don't know. That's a tough one.
You know how many babies have died because Levy was taking too long with the blue cheese?
Levy was killing.
Thank you, Bob.
Bob, you always kill, and you've literally killed.
Thank you, Bob.
All right, so we'll talk. I'm going to call you later.
Bob, I think you're the greatest. And
listen, Bob, I'm going to call you later. You take my message.
I like you.
I love you, Bob.
Who knew that? Who knew you would like Howard?
Howard.
Yes.
Take care, bro.
Take care, brother.
All right, you see, now you got to hit low.
Bob is my bro. Bob puts together the roast. He helps the show. He's a bro.
Yeah, Bob can't take a joke.
He's still my bro. Thank you, Bob.
I'm going to call you later. You can either take my phone call or not. I don't know what you do.
It's funny that Bob would be insulted, too, by anything, because guys like him are journeymen. They fucking work the road for 20 years.
He already knows.
Make a nice living.
He gave him the dig.
I know, but the fact that he's even sensitive about it, he knows he's got a good life.
Levy, he talks about guys like Norton, Florentine. Those guys are kings of busting balls. They're funny guys.
He went a little overboard.
And he can't take this. I mean, it's ridiculous. The day of my roast, I had to console him.
You went a little overboard. A little overboard.
Maybe I did.
That's all.
Maybe I did.
You don't realize what you mean to Bob.
And he doesn't understand.
You were a little bit out of line. You were a little bit out of line.
You know, those other guys don't have your clout with him.
Bullshit.
You come to me.
You're a little bit out of line, too. All right, let's go over to...
drinks are on the house.
Unless you buy top shelf.
Bring your shine box.
And go get your fucking shine. Keep that motherfucker here. Keep him here.
All right, let's go over to Johnny Hine, who's got the wrap-up show at 11 o'clock today, or as close as we can get to it. Johnny boy, what do you got for us? Come on, come clean.
One guy we know who doesn't beat his dick like it owes him money is John Hine.
That's right.
Well,
yes, Artie.
I had to come in. I wasn't scheduled, and I think this shows a lot about my integrity and my general class as a person. I wanted to officially apologize to Bob Levy on the wrap-up show, the show where all of this originated, and I didn't get a chance to really say it in Howard's studio, in Studio 69, but I'm saying it here. Bob's number one with me.
Now, to show your integrity, you're going to do this without plugging it at any point at any time?
No, I'm not going to plug. Listen, I'm not going to plug anything. Listen, I hope Bob gets to Detroit's Fox Theater September 15th. I hope Bob goes to artie-lang.com and issues an apology to all the Artie Lang fans, and I hope that he comes to the Borgata July 13th.
Holding a DVD of Beer League in his hand.
Yes, and Beer League out on DVD. I don't think that, I hope Bob gets It's the Whiskey Talking and studies some of my act and notices that I write my own stuff. And
when he's sitting in that basement, he rents Dirty Work on pay-per-view. And
I hope he watches the Best of Artie Lang from Mad TV coming soon, I think, to DVD. And I hope that he comes to Cohasset, Massachusetts, August 3rd and 4th, and really apologizes to some of the New England fans, because they're some of the best there is.
And if FX just happens to show up on his TV?
Yeah, and listen, if FX shows up on Rescue Me, he could always get drunk and pretend he's talking to me by talking to my character, Cousin Mike, on Rescue Me.
Hey, Artie, in all seriousness, on Rescue Me, I literally started TiVoing it solely for you. So what episode do you turn up in?
I think I'm in, 6 through 11.
All right, because I got the first 2 on TiVo, so I'm going to start watching it this year.
July 13th, 14th, around mid-July it starts.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether I should rush to watch them or not, because I'll make sure I'm up to speed by number 6.
Around 12 or 13, you're going to see me fucking a nun. It's going to be so great.
Mark in Virginia, you're on the wrap-up show.
Hello?
Mike, you there?
Yeah, what's up? I'm a big fan, Artie.
Thank you so much.
Hey, I really support you with this whole thing. I think Bob's out of line. I mean, you helped the guy out so much and everything.
Listen, Bob helps me out a lot, too. Listen, here's the thing, Bob. I'm sure Bob is chomping at the bit to say. He brought up, there's one joke that I do in my act that's sort of one of those public domain jokes. I've done it on TV. I just love it. It's one of my favorite jokes ever, and I put it in, and it was probably written years ago, and the joke is, I've never been swimming because it's never been half an hour since I last ate. That to me is just one of my favorite fact jokes ever, and I use it. It's the only joke that I have in my act that might be one of those public domain things, and Bob throws that up in my face, but the point is, I understand that it is, and if another comic used it somewhere in some sort of context, I could never honestly be mad at the guy. I would never bring up a fight and fight that fight. I would look ridiculous. So with Bob, you see, but I'm coming from the standpoint where I'm saying I didn't write the joke. That's a totally different thing. Bob's coming from the standpoint like, no, fuck you, I wrote the joke. That's why I'm so pissed, and I don't think I'm looking like an idiot. And sometimes you might have to just believe Bob and say, look, someone had to write those jokes. But Fitzsimmons' point is a good one, that it's not the smartest of jokes. Other people could have thought of it, so why choose that as a stance?
Right. Right.
I mean, people have the same thoughts a lot,
Well, if you missed the beginning of the show, what really sort of tweaked Levy, here's Artie trying to explain the situation.
I see Bob as a guy, if I didn't have the luck I've had in my career, I could be a guy going from
like
gig.
Bob?
No, but I'm saying Bob works hard and he goes from gig to gig to make ends meet. And I've been blessed with some good jobs, and I don't have the money issues he has, and I feel I give him gigs whenever I can.
Right.
And I love working we're the same. We're like brothers in arms in a way. We drink. We like to party.
So why do you always pick this topic up that stabs him in the heart, and you keep going back to it?
When you have a little brother or something, and there's something if you tease him, it's just going to aggravate the fuck out of him.
You do enjoy aggravating.
I do. I enjoy busting his ball.
Now, the official statement I've gotten from the Levy camp, because the wrap-up show did try to reach Bob Levy, is, I'm spending time with my son. I don't want to be on the radio all day. I'll be in on Tuesday.
This has got to be the first day ever he hasn't wanted to be on the radio all day.
And wanted to spend time with his son.
No. You see, that's slow, Gary. I'm not going to sit here and let you do that to him. He's a great father. And he's told me and the dealer we were buying the Coke from at the same time he's a great father. No, listen, again, it's just odd to me that Levy can fuck with me on every sensitive, like he's brought up shit about my sister, my mother, my weight, the fact that I might die, my comedy, by the way, every single fucking thing. My roast was brutal. And I just have to sit there and he brings the fat chick in. He knows that's not a friendly thing. He knows, look, he could have called me up and said, oh, I got a chick who wants to fuck you. Turns out that broad, I think, just got married. That was a total scam. And I'm supposed to let that brush off my back, and when I fuck with him a little bit, he's all wah-wah, and I got to deal with him. I got to treat him like a 10th grader who I just made upset about something.
It seems like, though, and you alluded to it just there, but Bob certainly said it, the comedy. If you touch the comedy and your act, that's what sets everybody off. Like, that's the sensitive spot.
You know what?
Every comedian I know fucks with each other's act. They say, like, if you say something that might be too easy or hacky, or everybody does it to get out of a bad gig on the road, and people get fucked with. You get fucked with all the time, and to me it's crazy. Here's a guy who claims to be Mr. Roast, and he's got the thinnest of skin out of anybody.
Hey, Shuli, if you're around, come on down here. Shuli was giving me the rap today. He was sort of siding with Bob, just in the sense of, like, you don't goof on, like when you get on the air, his feeling was when Artie Lang gets on the air and says Bob isn't funny, the fans buy into it and it hurts Bob.
Well, listen, to prove that Bob's funny, just come to any gig that I'm on with him and you will see him kill harder than anybody. A lot of people have seen us together. They know Bob's funny.
By the way, the best joke written maybe this entire year was when you said that you've seen people laugh so hard that they hit their head on the fire hose. That joke was perfectly crafted, Artie. Thank you very much.
Hey, look, man, what are you going to do? I think Bob wrote that one.
So, Shuli, say to Artie what you're saying to me today, how...
I was saying that as a comic, you know, the one Achilles heel every comic has is when another comic goofs on their material or says something.
We all do it. I don't know what comedians you're hanging out with, but every comedian I hang out with, we fuck on each other's material all the time.
But you know what? Maybe there's a difference between making fun of Bob's material in the green room when you're waiting to go on, as opposed to on the show to the whole audience.
Well, I admitted that yesterday I was out of line. I should not have crowbarred that, and Bob wasn't here. It came out of nowhere. And
Artie, like a few months back, like maybe 5 months back, like you and Richard were going at on some stuff, and you made a comment, like a real slight, subtle comment about, you know, Richard's horrible on stage. The next 3-4 gigs we did, Richard couldn't get one joke out because the audience was jumping down his throat saying, you suck. So in a lot of ways, a lot of people that are listening, they hear what comes out of your guys' mouth.
I wish I could care less about that. I don't care.
Well, I can tell you what the reception is.
I will tell you that Richard...
Fight through it. It'll make him a better comedian.
Richard was crushed. He was crushed when you said he wasn't funny.
I didn't say he wasn't funny. I said his stand-up, which is a totally separate fucking thing. John Belushi was funny. He wasn't a stand-up. I think Richard's a funny guy. I just think his stand-up needs work. That's all. Who the fuck wouldn't he? He's been doing it for how long?
You said his stand-up wasn't funny. You said it as a joke in a roast, but it hit him hard. I'm not saying it's right or wrong.
Listen,
I don't do stand-up.
I'm going to stop. I want everybody to submit all of the stuff I can talk about in a roast, okay? I want my list of shit I can talk about. Well, because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings at a roast anymore.
But at your roast, Gary, didn't
fucking grow a dick?
Didn't Bob go after Artie's comedy?
Of course he did.
And it didn't really go over that well.
Well, I think that Bob tries to retaliate, and it's just not as good at it as Artie is.
Well, no.
But
Bob's the last roast was retarded. Look, that's the most flattering thing I've ever heard in my life. But to come in here and say they have too much respect for me, so they won't laugh. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of.
And Artie, why do you think you were wrong yesterday? And you say you crowbarred that in. Since when is breaking somebody's balls like a wrong thing to do, especially somebody who makes their living as a comedian?
Bob's part of the family here, I know, but he wasn't here. It was totally out of left field. And it didn't make him look good, and he's not here to defend himself. So I sort of get it, and I apologize for that. Honestly, I'm not kidding. I am sorry for that particular incident. I really am.
But there have been some things that you've done on the show where I've really felt that there's an anger. There was a diatribe.
It's not an anger. It's a breaking balls thing. I don't know how else I could tell you.
There was a diatribe you did here, right in the see-through sitting on the wrap-up show. I think it was the day that girl, he brought up the girl who dicks back, and you go, that's fine if you want to be a fucking loser who lives in your fucking bed. But it went on for a long time.
This is my fault. I was trying to do, it happened when the Phantom, me calling Howard a jerk thing happened during that.
Right.
I was trying to do this goofy little character of a guy, you know what I mean? And it was,
I got the joke.
And Levy got it too, and he didn't, Levy wasn't upset with that because he got I was trying to be funny. That was different.
I don't think Levy's being honest about that, too.
No, you know what?
I think Levy called Sal on that one.
But when these digs happen, I don't care what you guys say, there's underlying meaning behind them. It could be 99% of a joke and 1% of the truth, but there's definitely something there.
You're right. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think Bob is the first person to write those jokes. I will go to my grave thinking that. Maybe Bob thought of them and someone else did, and he's not stealing it. But I don't think there's any way Bob's the first guy to write those two jokes. And I thought it was dumb for him to get mad at Dave Chappelle and pick that sort of show business argument to have. And I'll never think any differently than that.
But I'll play devil's advocate a little bit, be Bob, and I'll say, what are the comedian that you're friendly with, that you respect, do you fuck with like that?
Do you bust Nick DiPaolo's balls like that?
In different ways. See, I don't have the same issues with Nick. In other words, I think Nick is an original guy, and I don't think Nick ever... what are you laughing at?
Because what you're saying is Bob is an unoriginal guy.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
But I think it's ridiculous.
Right. I think that... okay, that came out wrong. I don't think Nick has any jokes that are jokes that someone else possibly could have written. He doesn't have any jokes that I've heard anywhere else. Put it that way, okay? I've heard those jokes elsewhere, and people, internet, all that, we can look it up, and so I bust Nick's chops about other things, about his anger, about everything else, but I can't bust his chops about that because it's not the same situation.
But what I'm saying is, what other comedian do you bust their chops about their comedy besides Bob?
He's done it to Sal and Richard, and I'm not putting them on that level.
Name comedians is what Gary's trying to get at.
Comedians that have been doing comedy for a living for over 10 years.
That is a slam, but
comedians who've been doing comedy for a living for over 10 years. Have you ever goofed on Jim's act, Jim Florentine? Have you ever goofed on Nick DiPaolo?
Yeah, not in the same way, but...
No, but got on the air and said, God, Jim does some hacky jokes.
That's where I think Bob's really hurt about all this. Seriously, he feels like there's a totem pole, and he's at the bottom, and no matter what, he's always going to get shit on because of his position on that totem pole.
Well, I don't know.
Did you fuck with Dice a little bit?
People...
With money.
Well, I don't know.
But Artie's not Dice's friend.
Yeah,
right.
You know what I mean? So it's easy.
Listen, I've always been able to be... The people I like the most are the people I'm able to be the most honest with, to tell you the truth. I feel comfortable around Bob. I like busting his chops. And he's probably the guy I fuck with the most. But he's the guy I've worked with the most in the last 7 years. But me and Norm used to fuck with each other. Me and Spade used to fuck with each other all the time.
But did you ever talk about that Spade or Norm wrote...
Well, I don't want to actually privately, but I don't want to get into any.
No, that's fine. I mean, but fucking with each other, if you do fuck with each other on that level, then those are guys that Levy's in company with.
Yeah. But, hey, that's kind of interesting, though. Even though I thought this argument was ridiculous, but what Artie just said, I would never bring that up publicly. Right. What I said about Spade,
right?
But you would bring Bob up.
Yeah, well, this has been out in the open now. I mean, there might be other issues I have with Bob, but I'm not saying it on the air.
Yeah, Artie almost went somewhere with that.
Yeah, I know.
He said,
believe me, I'm doing Bob a favor.
Was it racial material?
No, I know nothing about it. But I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it involves Artie lending money to somebody.
No, got nothing to do with money. I try to counsel Bob and Sal in the sense, not about comedy, but I think they're a little too rough around the edges with the racial shit, and there's no way. Bob always talks about, why am I not on Conan? Why am I not on Letterman? Well, first of all, a guy who has that joke in his act, I'm going to beat my dick like it owes me money, will never get on Conan. Will never get on Letterman. As soon as a guy booking that show sees it, they're going to walk away.
Do you have two different acts?
They're looking for very original material.
But Artie, do you have two different acts? Do you have an act that you do obviously live, but you have an act that you could do have you?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's there's old jokes dealing with a heckler. There's old jokes I'll go to in a second on the road.
Right. No, I meant more
saying shit to a broad I would fuck your brains out, but someone beat me to it. Like stuff like that gets
I don't slap the cock out of your mouth. I don't come to your job at Wendy's, knock the broom out. Shit like that, I'm ashamed to do, but sometimes to get a laugh, you have to, and that gets roared.
No, I meant more like if it were 10 years ago, and I told you were playing, Stand Up New York or whatever, and I said, hey, Artie, listen, the comedy booker for the Tonight Show's in the audience.
Oh, absolutely.
You have an act that you can do.
No, but you change. In other words, you'll try to make your act more clean, and you'll try to do your smarter stuff. Absolutely.
So you're saying that Bob doesn't have that act ready?
I don't think. Again, like Bob tried to get on Conan or Letterman or something, and he sent in a tape of him doing a dirty, filthy act at a club, and on it he wrote, could clean this up for television.
Right.
Well, you know, again, like I try to counsel him and go, Bob, you can't do that, because once the booker sees that, he's never going to look at you again. He hears the name Bob Levy. You're setting yourself back 10 years, and if Bob wants to break through to that next level, and if Sal wants to do it too, again, the usage of the N-word, I mean, like, it's just like, you'll never get on television. You'll get on Stern because Howard's fascinated with people who have that kind of honesty. But regular show business, you will not get hired if you use the N-word the way Bob does, if you use it the way Sal does. And what I'm talking about, what I don't want to get into it, Bob, is a racial thing that I was on my DVD, and I made my editor take off. After the Chappelle thing happened, I did a couple of gigs with Levy, and he said something that Bob didn't want me to take off, and I said, take it off, because I'm not even going to say what it was, because it's better if it's in your imagination. And I've tried to tell him and Sal that, and they don't want to listen to me. They just think that whatever makes people at Chuckles and Jerk Off Montana laugh will get them to the next level, and it won't. It will just get them paid the $300 at Jerk Offs in Montana. That's all it's going to get. And I don't care if it kills, how hard they laugh. You got to get on Letterman, Conan, to get on a television show, you have to, even something as awful as even if something as awful as those Guys' Choice Awards I just did, even to get a gig like that, you have to have more original, smarter shit. You just have to.
I met Buddy Hackett in Vegas, who is like the king of filthy comics, and I asked him the difference between clean comics, dirty comics, what do you think you should do? And he looked right at me. He said, if you can work clean, you can work anywhere. That's the bottom line. And once you've established yourself, then you can do your own thing.
But Buddy Hackett's a bad example. Buddy Hackett's a guy from the old school. He tells old jokes. You know what I mean? And those guys used to be rewarded. But since George Carlin and Richard Pryor came in, and it became more about, the singer-songwriters, the same thing, writing your own stuff that you do in your act. Since that guard came about, it's just, to get into mainstream the way Hackett did, you can't be the guy telling old jokes. And you could be dirty, but you're going to get on HBO. You're not going to get, and you're not going to get corporate gigs. But now there's corporate gigs that let dirty shit happen as long as it's a different world.
Let's work some calls in, guys. Roscoe in Philly, you're on the wrap-up show.
Hey, guys, thanks for taking my call. I'm from Philadelphia, so I have the unfortunate pleasure of listening to Bob Levy's ass on the Kid Chris show every time, where he's trying to work clean. Have you guys ever heard him on that show?
Bob's always funny on the radio when he was on. When we were on regular radio, I think he's always funny, clean or not, on the radio, without question.
Hey, Art, yeah, I agree. Levy's all right. We saw him down in Sea City at this comedy.comedy. I don't know what it is, but it's a pretty good show.
Yeah, look, the guy's a great
great
comedian.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's saying Levy's a bad comedian.
But
Artie's
that's
talking more about, but I know, but Artie's talking more about his style of comedy and not. Well, I'm going to put words in your mouth. Artie's like, look what I've done. There's a reason I'm at the level that I'm at. If you could tweak here and there.
I don't want him to be, again, it makes me sound like I'm trying to be cocky. I'm not. I'm just saying, I'm stating a fact. That if you want to get to the next level and you want to get off some of these shit road gigs, you got to get to the next level material-wise.
Shuli and I had this conversation today, and Shuli goes, listen, every time Bob goes out, Bob brings down the house. I go, I totally agree. But look at the houses he's bringing down, and look at the houses Artie's bringing down. And you got to move to the next...
Again, there's not much difference, but...
Artie, there's a big difference between Carnegie Hall and Chuckles.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, Carnegie Hall was filled with guys who would probably go see me anywhere. I mean, that was our fans. That was the guys that come out, and they see a lot of the shows. But my point is, if a crowd's that easy challenge yourself. You know what I mean? Don't like if you know you can get a laugh with some of the older, dirtier shit, try it to weave in stuff that's more of not even smart jokes. Like tell stories. You know, do stuff that's more interesting than
evolve as a comic.
Well, yeah, because the crowd is so into you. That's a perfect time to try out new shit.
Hey, Artie, was begging Bob to kind of make up with you to still do the gigs? Was that more you felt bad for him shooting himself in the foot, or more you feel you really want to meet him?
Listen, let me tell you something. If I didn't think Bob was good, I would not have him on these shows. These shows are a reflection of me. There's press at these shows, and these are big gigs I have people on. Atlantic City, the Borgata, there's always press there. There's Fox Theater in Detroit. So if I thought he sucked, I wouldn't have him on the shows. And I like working with him. The shows are funnier with him, and that's why I felt bad that, you know, he wasn't going to be doing them. I want him there.
Sonny in Middlesex, you're on the wrap-up show.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Hey, first of all, Artie, don't get me wrong. Don't ever stop busting balls. That was one of the best fights I think they've ever had on the show today.
Right. Well, that's the Stern show, you know. So.
Levy, I think, was crying through that whole thing. But I wanted to say, my thing with you is why would you say that Chappelle used that joke in the context of what a hacky comedian would say? I mean, it had nothing to do with it. Did you actually see the sketch?
You know what? That's an excellent point you're making, Sonny. And again, I misspoke there. And again, I don't have any proof of this. I was just putting myself in the writer's room where I've been a million different times, and sometimes you go, okay, it's Oscar the Grouch singing a song, all right? It's what kind of shit would Oscar the Grouch say, that character? And you're not going to think of Bill Hicks jokes, you know. You're not going to think of something as clever or as brilliant as something that might come out of, you know, Chris Rock's mouth or Dave Attell or Brian Regan. You're going to think, okay, what would a guy like Oscar the Grouch say? And to me, that's like, okay, what would a hack comic say? I will say,
but you made a leap to that.
But that's what the way Mutt described it.
I do make a leap to it, and that was wrong.
But the way Mutt described it sounded like a drunk doing a hacky joke.
Right, it was a drunk Oscar the Grouch. What, you know, to me, okay, let me put it to you another way, Sonny, because you're making a good point. I did misspeak there. To me, if a drunken Oscar the Grouch singing a song parody on a show used one of my jokes, I'd be a little offended. I'd be like, what do you think, Oscar the Grouch is going to write jokes like I do? Like that? I mean, I would be. Anybody would. And I'm telling you, that's the way
Sesame Street character would you feel a little honored by?
I'm just saying, Oscar the Grouch drunk is not something I would expect to you're saying he wrote the joke because he wrote the song. I don't put him on the level comedically as me.
Like it got the biggest laugh of the whole sketch, and you could watch it on YouTube.
Of course it did. Of course it did, because there's a reason hack comics work. They kill. Oh, man. They do. They kill. And I don't think I'm talking, first of all, you don't hear me bringing up the rest of his act. I'm taking issue with 2 jokes. The rest of his act is funny. He does an hour.
But that's what the audience is going to remember is those 2 things.
And you did tell him. Bob could do an hour without doing those 2 jokes. And I think if anything comes out of this, maybe he'll challenge himself to write better shit.
And you did tell him when he works with you to not do the blue cheese bit, true?
Huh?
You told him when he works with you not to do the blue cheese bit.
I went up to him and I said, Bob, listen, dude. And again, he said, it kills all the time. I'm like, I know it kills, Bob, but it's like following a rape. I have to go on.
That's my next act.
Right. I have to go on stage, and you just sexually assaulted a drunk girl. Some people are laughing. Some people are offended. Some people want to call the cops. Some people are throwing up. Now, I got an 8-foot hole to dig out of.
Including Bob.
And I said, Bob, listen, you can't do it anymore. And he was fine. I won't do it. And you know what? He still destroys. Without that, he's still destroyed.
Absolutely. I have a question for Artie. What is typically Bob's act? I've never seen it.
It's great.
When Bob comes in here, I've always find him funny.
It's a lot of
but hearing that, that almost seems to be the thing that sticks out like a sore thumb. It's like he's a very funny guy. He's verbal, but to do the blue cheese thing, I don't know if
there's another.
I'm just wondering if that isn't if it's a jackass.
He works
thing.
the crowd a lot, and he's very good at that. He's like a technician with it, which is I'm envious of. I'm not that good on stage with the crowd.
He's like a Rickles in a way. With the
but
audience.
in a way.
Is that his stairway to
heaven?
heaven?
He goes and attacks
right,
people.
He's like Don Rickles.
He's an attack comic.
But exactly like Don Rickles.
But if he stopped doing it, would people be disappointed?
Right, but listen, there's another thing I fucked with him about that he gets mad about, too. And Levy has this joke. He has a joke about a guy with a big head. Right. So in every show, he goes, look at the size of the head on this guy. Now, to me, I think I busted his balls. I go, Bob, even when there's not a guy with a big head, you just say that. And people in the back don't know that. He's rattling off 4 big head jokes. And I'm like, well, he goes, no, the guy really has a big head in the front row. And I'm like, well, there's times I've seen that there's no guy with a big head. You just point to a guy and he's looking around. Do I have a big head?
This guy has the biggest head in the room.
Right, and then he just does 4 big head jokes. And I busted his balls about that, too. And he gets mad, and I stop. I love busting his chops about it. What do you want me to tell you?
Bob's act is, he is sort of like what you hear on Miserable Men. He talks about relationships, and he talks about women. It's a dirty act, but I think it's very funny. I mean,
he's creepy, he's angry, and he attacks the audience, and he makes them feel a part of the show.
Listen, I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to give you an example of some of the greatest. He's written jokes. I heard jokes that he hadn't done before a couple of times that when he's just riffing on stage, and I go, Bob, and Bob is bullshitting if he says this isn't true. I pulled him aside and go, Bob, that last line you did was fucking amazing. You should do that all the time. So he's great. I'm talking about one joke. I'm not sitting here going, he's got an hour of hack shit. You go see Bob, you're going to hurt your gut laughing. I'm taking issue with 2 jokes, and I'm busting a comedian's balls who I know well, who's a friend. I'm busting his chops. He takes it way too wrong.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back...
Wait a second. Artie?
He's not a hack comedian. He's a great comedian who does a couple of hack lines, and I think maybe he can improve on that. That's exactly what I think.
Sounds like Imus.
That's the best way. But you know what, Fred, I know, but that's the best way I can describe what I'm talking about.
He's not a bad
He's a great
person.
comic.
He did a bad thing.
Artie, I know you have to go now. You going to be playing the Funny Bone soon?
Actually, the only way to be a funny bone is if I fuck this club.
Steve Langford, Howard 100 News. All right, Steve. How many pull-ups you going to do for us?
0.
Yeah.
Just some of the stories we're working on in the Howard 100 newsroom. The not so jolly Green Mountain Giant in court. Bigfoot pleading guilty to possession of marijuana and fined $141.
Oh, he doesn't have that.
Cops finding 0.1 of a gram of pot in his Cadillac, pulling him over because of a missing license plate. Bigfoot explaining he uses one plate on his Cadillac, the other on his Geo Metro.
Oh, he's got 2 cars.
Wow. That's impressive.
The Stern Show's sad sack Sasquatch saying he's trying to get his life together, going to see a shrink August 14th.
Oh, good. I feel bad for him. I really do. He's confused. He's like this big confused dude.
And he's all alone.
Yeah. What else you got?
Also today, the killers of comedy on the warpath. The Reverend Bob, Shuli, Sal, and Richard blowing their stacks over comments made by Artie Lang on the Raw Dog channel, reportedly calling the killers of comedy the Hack Pack.
It's a better name, you got to admit it.
It is good.
Kidding around is one thing, but is this bad for business?
No.
Oh, yes. There goes Bob Levy again. He always thinks you're hurting his business.
No. Well, Bob really just thinks that most of the jokes are aimed at him.
I know.
I mean, it was so joking around. It's just, I mean, come on, can we grow up here?
He feels Artie doesn't have respect for what he does.
Mm-hmm. Howard, I don't want to slow you down, but Shuli's out here, and he's, like, genuinely angry, not, like, fucking around angry. He's just, he says, even though Artie says it's a joke, he always seems to take jokes at their expense.
Bring him in.
I don't understand. I mean, you know.
Let's give this a few minutes, Robin.
All right. Let's see where they
Shuli, you have your time with Artie. Go ahead.
I just want to say, you know, like, he's very nice to us. He asks us to work with him and do shows with him, and that's great. And, you know, we all bust each other's balls behind the scenes, but when he's on the air and stuff, he takes shots at us, and it's like, this is, you know, we're doing a comedy tour. It's like you're sitting there saying that basically we suck.
No,
you're trying to sell tickets.
I don't know if I said that. I mean, you work with me all the time. Why would I put you on the show if I think you suck?
Well, that's what I was asking myself when I heard you make that comment
then you
yesterday.
might come to the conclusion that I'm joking around.
But why do you have to do it on the air all the time, man?
I'm sorry.
But no, it's the same thing with Levy. A couple weeks ago, you said the same exact thing about him.
Now, Hack Pack was a new thing. I thought that was funny.
Whatever, like, it's funny when it's
if
us
I
backstage
said it off the air, it would seem a little more serious, don't you think? I mean, on the air, I'm breaking your job.
No,
I think there's many a truth said in jest. I think you think they're a little bit hacky.
No, I don't. I have Shuli works with me all the time.
Artie's come up to me personally and said, you know, he really likes when I host his shows. He wants me to host.
And how do I show that? By hiring you quite a bit.
I understand that, but then you come around and you say that on the air. It's mixed messages. It's mixed signals, Artie.
Okay, I'm very sorry. I didn't know I had another girlfriend I'm sending mixed signals to.
It's not a girlfriend. It's just somebody that
You're acting cunty and bitchy about it.
No,
you just are.
You know what it is? If nobody would have heard it, then it wouldn't be a joke. Like, it's a joke now because somebody heard it.
Would it be a joke if Shuli went on shows and said Artie's a shitty comedian?
I don't care.
You don't?
Sure, a lot of people say that. I don't. I mean, I don't get all mad at them.
You're a comic.
I really don't take it that seriously.
You would totally care if other comics went on other shows saying that you suck or
I've heard that before.
Fans aren't happy with this or that. Like,
when did I say fans aren't happy with?
I'm just saying. I'm just throwing examples out there. I'm just saying.
Honestly, you know what? Then I don't want to work with you anymore.
Well, whatever, dude. You say.
Now I don't want to work with you anymore.
But you
just talk yourself out of work.
It's not about work for me, dude. It's about me getting across the point that, either you're with us or you don't want us with you.
I don't really think about it that much.
Well, but, dude, it's kind of a shit move when you sit there and you go, oh, you guys want to come play Detroit with me, and then you go, oh, by the way... come buy your tickets for me in the Hack Pack in Detroit.
I didn't say that. I was in the Hack Pack.
But that's the kind of pitch that you throw out there.
It's only the Hack Pack when you guys are by yourselves.
Whatever, dude.
You're acting like a broad here, man. You really are.
I'm a comic. I take offense to when somebody calls me a hack.
I know. Okay, sorry, man.
Who's the funniest member of the Hack Pack, as you call him?
Funniest member? Well, Beetlejuice, probably. I mean,
I don't doubt that.
Is Bob
He's
funnier
on every
than Shuli?
show.
Who's funnier, Shuli or Reverend Bob?
I don't know. I got to think about that.
Oh,
I don't have an answer. There's no black and white answer to that.
But Shuli's really pissed. I can tell.
It's just frustrating, man. I've been doing stand-up 13 years. It's not like I just started last week, So it's frustrating when somebody I respect like Artie says stuff like that,
Well, then listen, we should just part ways then.
Well, but I'm not the one going on the air talking shit about you. You're the one talking shit about us.
Would you prefer it if I didn't give you work and I went on and said you were a great comic?
Artie, this has nothing to do with work. This is just me coming to you as a comic to another comic saying, hey, man, that wasn't cool. That has nothing to do with work. I appreciate all the work you give me. I always say thank you every single time. I think I do a great job for you. It has nothing to do with work.
Okay, man. All right.
Whatever.
Fine. Okay. What do you want me to do?
I just wanted to state my case. I just wanted to tell you where I stand. That's all.
I understand.
Okay. Thank you.
Shuli's like a chick.
He really is. They all are. Levy's like a woman, too. I mean,
you know what? If we sat there, if we got on the air...
Play the tape of me on that show. It's joking around.
But, Artie, you don't understand. There's a huge percentage of people that listen to this show that whatever comes out of your mouth is gospel to them.
Okay, this is the same argument. This is the same argument like the last roast. People were afraid to laugh at jokes about me.
No,
I don't even know what... I don't know what that is so ridiculous.
It's, Artie, it's absolutely true. It's absolutely true.
So you think it's affecting your business? You guys do a lot of business, I thought.
We do a lot of business,
so
but when you go on the air and go, these guys are the Hack Pack, that's not an advertisement saying it's a great show, go buy tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
No, I mean, I'm kidding around. I tend to...
But what I'm saying is there's
sometimes... Ralph, what do you think?
Sometimes on the Raw Dog Comedy Channel, sometimes I joke around.
Go ahead. What?
Shuli knows what I think. Is it Artie's job to do advertisements for you? I mean, he's making a joke.
No, but does he have to put us down?
Wait, just let me get my point out. I don't see how you guys can sit... First of all, Artie, the Hack Pack, that's brilliant.
I mean, whatever. I mean,
I don't know how you guys... You bust balls, and that's what you do. And I think anybody who listens to this show knows that. It's like, do it off the air? I don't get what you're saying.
No,
I mean, it's busting balls.
But we do it in a way where it doesn't affect business, dude. It doesn't. We're all on the same team, man. We're all on the same team, bro. We're all working together.
Yeah, why
would you hammer somebody on the air and say something that's not necessarily true?
But Artie puts himself down.
But you sound
I put myself down all the time.
I put myself down, too. All the comics put themselves down.
Shuli, you sound whiny. You come off like...
Ralph, if anybody would know what a fucking cunt would sound like, it'd be you. So just keep it down.
No, don't do that. And don't call me a cunt.
That might affect Ralph's cunt business.
Yeah. Sorry. Look, you know what? I could easily smile in somebody's face one day and then go on the air and trash them, which seems to be the MO around here, and I'm not going to do that.
If Ralph was a shitty stylist, he'd be upset.
Oh, absolutely. And I told him that. Oh, sure you do. Sure you do.
You can say that.
Ralph, you remember when we first started, when you first came up here, before even Howard was on, the Serious News team was here working. Ralph gets out of the elevator. One of the reporters goes to interview him, and she goes, you're Howard's makeup artist? And he goes, no, I'm Howard's stylist. And he wouldn't talk to her after that. He refused to interview her.
You know what, Shuli? No, she wanted to ask, I didn't know who this fucking broad was. She wanted to ask me questions about the work that I do with Howard, which is private, and I wasn't going to answer a bunch of fucking questions.
So you were being cunty, weren't you?
No, I wasn't.
Yes, you were, Ralph.
That's being protective of my client, dummy.
Well, I'm being protective of my comedy and my material and comedy.
With all sincerity, in your opinion, are they kind of hacky, these guys?
No, I said that because I know they're very sensitive to that, and I was kidding around and joking around. But apparently, you know, I don't want to. If
you know what, Artie? Ever since Sal, you said you were dedicated. You're dedicated. You're going to a mozzarella farm. You're sleeping through half the show. You're not that fucking talented, Artie. You are so unloyal. It's incredible.
See, this aggravates the shit out of me.
Good. I'm glad. I hope it burns your thick skin. You.
I may not really go to a mozzarella farm. That was a joke, too.
You are the biggest mama's boy. Talk about cunts. You, mommy. You'll never have a wife, Artie. You'll never have a wife. You're unloyal. You're not a good friend. You do something good one day, and the next day you pull it out from someone. I wasn't going to call, Artie, but I had to call because you are so unloyal. It sickens me.
Marianne, part of the smelly cunt pack. That's...
All right, there you go.
Hey, Howard, can I say something?
Yeah, let's go to Mutt for 1 second.
Okay,
Mutt,
sure.
go ahead.
Hey, guys. Shuli, weren't you guys busting my balls on the way I run my website and host my show this weekend?
Were we busting your balls about the way you run your website and how you host your show? I guess so, yeah.
I mean, it was all in good fun, but basically that was an attack on me saying I don't let people have opinions.
But do people pay...
See, Shuli, why is that okay? Why do you attack Mutt? It's going to make him feel bad.
Right. Well, I know Mutt's a celebrity, and I apologize.
Well, Mutt is a celebrity on the channel.
Shuli, what kind of celebrity are you? You're as big a celebrity as Mutt is.
I don't even see myself as a celebrity.
Well, man. What are we talking to you for?
Well, good question. Why are you having me on your fucking shows then?
I don't know. I hired a guy a bunch of times, and he's pissed at me.
Well, yeah, because Artie, let me ask you this.
Mutt's making a good point. Everybody is getting a little, I don't know, dude.
What does the word hack mean to you?
This hack thing, you guys don't even know what hack means. Sal uses it.
I don't think you know what it means.
Whenever Sal uses it, he uses it in the wrong. It's so funny.
No, he uses it on you. It's right.
But it is some part of Mutt's livelihood when you sit there.
Of course it is. Mutt's life, to a certain extent now, is running that
right, but
website.
But Mutt was on the air with us, number one, who had a chance to talk and speak his case and say his side of the story.
I didn't say it secretly. I said it on the show that you heard.
Yeah, but first of all, let me finish. Mutt was on the air with us.
I wasn't even serious. I didn't go on there with the intent.
Sal wants to. Let Sal weigh in on this.
Artie,
let Sal win your argument.
Yeah, here we go. I mean, you're a generous guy. You put us on the shows and everything, and you're great to us. But it is mixed signals because the issue here is we're not like you. We're not like you. We're not
mixed signals.
Hold on. Let me explain, please. We don't have the clout you have. We don't have the strength of the audience that you have. You've earned it. But the thing is that we're guys with families, and we're trying to make a living. And it would take me 80 shows to make an eighth of what you make. And we put a good ticket out there. We put on a solid show. We travel the country.
Who is saying any different?
But nobody. But when you're going out there, constantly calling Levy a hack. And
constantly?
Well, he
say that in the apologize. I say it in the roast.
No, but
I say it in the fucking...
But, Artie, you apologized to him just last month saying you would never happen again. So I'm just saying that we put out a good quality show for the fans, and we're there for them. And what you saying hack pack, it doesn't help.
All right, let's move on. Show. Let's go back to Steve Langford. Shuli, thank you. I respect what you have to say. Shuli is upset. I could see he didn't crack a smile during that.
I don't think anything.
And he is upset. I see him leaving upset.
Well, no, I mean, I don't think I can work with the guys anymore.
Really?
Right. Well, there you go.
Yeah, I wrote jokes for your Donald Trump roast that made the Daily News. I wrote jokes for you for... Wait, but you're laughing now, but, I think you take me seriously.
What does that have to do with anything?
But every opportunity you have, you call everybody a hack. The only people you don't call a hack is Nick DiPaolo and Greg Fitzsimmons. But everybody in this family, in this environment, you're constantly digging at and using the excuse it's a joke. So I don't get it. I think you're great, and I admire what you do for me. But I just be honest. Like, how do you really feel?
He told you. You're a hack.
Well, no.
All right, I'll take it.
I don't know, Sal. How do I really feel? Can we go to therapy together and figure this out?
All right.
I think if I tell a guy,
loved.
I guess so.
People are offended.
I mean, I don't think there's one person in our audience who, because I said Hack Pack, would not go see those guys perform. I just don't see that. And if they're starting to see it...
I'm not going to go see them because he said that. It leads me to believe they're no good. Why should I waste my time?
It was such a joke. It was joking around.
So you're saying you don't really feel that way?
Yeah, I mean, and how many times do we say that shit on roast? We're roasting each other. Bob Levy is the guy who hosts roasts. I mean, can I give you a list of subjects I don't want you to talk about? Sal?
All right. Well, Sal is gone. I've dismissed him. Steve, what else do you have in the news?
Also, the Artie Lang mugshot. LAPD saying it will not release Artie's arrest photo from that 1996 cocaine bust.
I've got why? Everyone else's is available. I got an email from a guy. Maybe Gary can follow up on this. This guy doesn't want to be identified on the air. He's in law enforcement and claims that he can get Artie's mugshot for us. He needs a little more information.
What does he need?
We'll talk to him.
Let's see, he has to get...
Steve.
I need more info. If Artie's interested, have someone contact you. Okay, so, Gary, here, contact this guy and see if he's for real.
I was arrested in Hollywood. It's technically in Hollywood, California, on the corner of Vine and Melrose.
But it was LAPD that got you, I think.
I'm sure it was. I was taken to L.A. County Jail. That's where I was booked. And it was, I think, November the 14th, 1996.
Now, here's what they told me yesterday. They're citing a ban on releasing mugshots, the department claiming, after O.J.'s puss was altered by Time magazine to make him look more black in 1994.
Well, that I'm not going to tolerate either.
You don't want to look black?
Not more black.
Did you hear Sal's rap on the wrap-up show yesterday about how he was upset because he went to a 7-Eleven or something, and the Indian guy who was working there thought that Sal was an Indian?
Yeah, because
he has raccoon eyes?
Yeah.
Do you ever think about stuff like that?
No,
I don't.
No. He was hurt. He was devastated, actually.
Oh, he was completely upset. You got some show going on there. I'll tell you, that's a good show. I listen to it every day. I try to hear some part of it.
With Sal, you just sit back and let him talk.
I noticed that. You just you wrap it up and go to a break.
Because, yeah, I have raccoon eyes, and the guy thought don't you ever notice that all the Indians have bags under their eyes, like these big black blotches?
Yeah, the guy gave him a cup of coffee for free.
Because you're an Indian.
Because you're one of us.
And
wait a minute.
And Sal was offended.
Sal came to the conclusion that that's why he thought he was an Indian, or the guy told him?
No, he said, why is it...
I got the tape if you want to hear it. Gary,
This is who I'm arguing with.
All right, here you go. I got it. Listen to this. Takes about a minute and a half.
I like how Sal calls himself the white devil. But then, like, the other day, didn't you go into a deli and some Indian guy started talking Indian to you?
No, I don't know
what happened.
You know my black raccoon eyes that drive me crazy? Yeah. I go to a Dunkin' Donuts by my house. It's all run by the Indians. So I
Which ones?
In the turban-wearing ones. So,
as opposed to the...
Yeah, right, exactly. So, they're all run by them. You know.
So what happened?
The carpet riders, Jason.
Thank you.
So,
and they're all run by them.
This one is run by all of them.
Got
it. You're brilliant. I don't even want to tell the story. It breaks my heart. So I order a coffee, and the guy goes, "Hey, for you on the house." So I go, wow. I go, yeah, guys, he's coming. So I go, what? I go, for me? I go, no. What? I go, really? I go, for me? He goes, hey, you Indian, right? And I wanted the coffee, but I didn't want to insult him. And, I go, yeah, I am. And I took the coffee, I turned around, I walked out, and I was on the verge of tears.
You were depressed because the guy thought you looked Indian?
Yeah, you know those Indians. They all have those fucking rings around their goddamn eyes.
I thought that the joke was going to be you could have the coffee for free because you look tired, because you have the rings around your eyes.
No, because he thought I was one of him.
Can you imagine? Wow. He's upset. He's actually wrecked because someone thinks he looks Indian?
He's devastated that he wasn't seen as a white man.
So the guy made reference to Sal's eyes, correct? Or no? Because I'm hearing that Sal just came up with that.
He came up
with it. Sal came up with it.
Which makes it even more crazy. I mean, the guy thought Sal was an Indian, and Sal drew the conclusion that because they all have raccoon eyes.
Yeah.
Right.
He draws wild conclusions. Anything else, Steve?
The Jackie puppet. The Jackie puppet.
You smell. Let's go through all a stereotype.
Go ahead.
The Jackie Puppet update. The Howard 100 News tip line getting swamped with leads on the missing doll. Almost all of the tips useless. Gary and Doug conferencing again in their efforts to find the Jackie Puppet. Now about to scan videotapes in the Howard TV vault to try to determine when the poor puppet was last seen in the studio. If you have real information about the Jackie Puppet, call the Howard 100 News tip line, 877-33-SIRIUS, choose Channel 100, or email us at howard100news@sirius-radio.com.
All right, thank you, Steve.
Can I tell you exactly, now because I'm like what Shuli just sort of talked himself out of right now?
Yeah.
So for the New York Comedy Festival, last year I did Carnegie Hall, right?
Yeah.
So now this year...
I like that this is eating you up.
No, wait, but listen, so now this year... they want me to host a show, which is going to be like the centerpiece of the whole festival, a town hall, where I host it. I come out, I do 15 minutes, and I pick 4 of my favorite comics to showcase that night on the festival. It's a big press thing, a lot of attention, because they get a lot of press for those festivals. And I honestly, and Teddy can bring in the fucking list. On the list was Shuli and Levy.
Right.
That I pre-wrote down.
The hack?
To have, be... this is like, you got to put out the friends of yours who you think are really good. This is part of the New York Comedy Festival.
Understood.
It's a full night of stuff. And Teddy has the list. It says Shuli and Levy on it, both of them.
Well, I guess
and
the list
right
is
now, I really don't want to
use... Why do you have to penalize him for saying he's upset that you call him a hack?
Because I think they're being pussies, and I don't feel like I'd rather work with a hack than a pussy.
You're going to punish them with taking away some money from them?
It's not money. It's certainly money, but it would have been a sort of nice, prestigious attention.
Certainly could help him with box office.
He was honest with you.
So
why would I
think?
him?
But why would I think? Why would I do that? Why would I keep?
Why do you have to punish the guy? He came in honestly and said, "I don't like when you call me a hack."
Because they sound like little cunts.
And you don't want to work with a cunt.
Yeah, I'd rather work with a hack.
Okay.
They sound annoying. You know why? Honestly, I'll tell you why. Because I'm working on eggshells around them.
Okay.
I got to walk on all eggshells now. Am I doing something wrong? Am I insulting these little pussies? Clean your pussy, Levy.
Ooh. Wow. Cunty.
It really, I don't need that.
You're telling Levy to clean his pussy?
To clean out his twat. I'm sorry. You fucking, I'll give you
You're saying he has a dirty pussy?
I'll give you a list of shit I don't want you fucking talking about. How's that sound?
What is it, Tony? He wants to weigh in on this. Yes, Tone.
Hey, how you doing, brother?
All right, brother.
Hey, man. I want to say about this hack tag thing that they're showing their weakness by being sensitive to it. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about comedy, but I think I know that. Artie is putting them up towards his level by even mentioning to him. It's an open invitation to crack back. And
go
ahead, Art.
No, I'll tell you what. He's making an excellent point too, because actually, the funny thing is, I do mess around with guys I've known for a long time, calling them hacks, and that was a sort of old, unoriginal thing to do, and with guys like DiPaolo, and if you're confident enough that you know you're not,
then you shoot back.
You don't get mad at it.
Well, maybe they're not confident.
It's like calling a guy gay, and he's mad because he's really gay, that's a good point.
Maybe Shuli isn't that confident.
Well, he should be. That's what I'm trying to tell him.
All right.
And that's exactly my point, Howard. Is that if they want to be and they say it's because Artie has clout and confidence or whatever, and you know what, if they want to be successful, it's time to step up their game, and at least in that regard.
All right.
My clout ends with this show. I have the same clout they have. I sell tickets because I'm here.
But they've sort of put you up on a pedestal that you're the guy they all want to be.
It's weird. If I left this show...
if you say something bad to them, then they're devastated.
If I left this show, I'd be playing clubs again. I mean, look, that's a hard reality of the business. And so they're on this show, and they're making money, too. We're all in the same...
Shuli wants to say something?
We're all in the same boat.
Exactly. We're all in the same boat. So why would... Artie, let me ask you something. What does the word hack mean to you? You're a comic. You've been doing it for a while. What does the word hack mean to you?
It means an unoriginal thing. To me, it means an unoriginal premise that gets an easy laugh. You pander to the audience.
Okay, so why would you call me and Levy a hack and then sit there and say, oh, I put these guys on this list for this show? Make up your mind. Do you respect what we do or don't you? And then fucking don't go on the air and say you don't. I could have easily gone on another show and trashed you yesterday or started this shit up. I waited to talk to you man to man, face to face.
How did I trash you?
By saying the hack pack. I understand it's a fun...
I'm kidding around. It was a joke. That's the point.
You always say that when we call you on it. So, and like Howard said, there's always some truth behind every joke. So what do you really feel? Is it the whole group? Is it
You made a joke in the Gary roast that he's a silverback monkey.
Right.
Do you really think that?
But it's a roast.
Tell Gary to his face.
It's a roast.
Dude, that's what I'm talking about. This is a comedy show. I wasn't on the McNeil-Lehrer report.
The guy said, who are the killers of comedy? The guy said, who are the killers of comedy? Are those young comics? Who are those guys? You go, oh, I call them the hack pack.
Yeah, it wasn't like that.
Hey, I just got one more thing to say about that. When Artie stops talking about you, then that'd be the time to worry.
Thanks, dude.
No worries, late.
Fun selling fruit.
Well, I see that you are upset about this, Shuli.
I am, dude. I've been doing it 13 years, man. And one thing I'm not is a hack. I pride myself on my material, my originality. And for somebody to come out and say that I'm a hack, that pisses me off. Absolutely.
All right.
I went on there and said Shuli is a hack.
No, but you say that I'm part of this group, the Killers of Comedy. Whether you feel it's one person in the group, 2 of us, 3 of us, say what's on your mind, but don't generalize and throw us all in one group and say we're a bunch of hacks.
Howard, I have a lot of sick qualities, but a smelly cunt, Artie, isn't one of them. And you wish your cunt, you big pussy, was as clean as mine because you're the 7th grader. You know how you make a joke? Cunt, pussy, twat.
See, Marianne is not a hack. She doesn't do any easy shit.
Entertaining, Artie, and you know what? You're right. If you didn't have Howard, you'd be in the fucking bar somewhere with the pool table and the walls with the cocaine guy because you're nothing but a low-life asshole.
Ike is on the phone from Mad TV. Ike from Mad TV. Go ahead.
Is this Ike Barinholtz?
Yo, Artie.
Oh, Ike, how you doing, man?
Artie, man, how you doing?
How are
Artie,
you?
you're so right, dude. You're so good to these boys. And I talked to a friend of mine who saw the Killers of Comedy in Southern California. Said it was the worst show.
Where? What show was it? Where at in Southern Cali?
Oh, God, I can't remember.
Yeah, exactly.
I like Shuli. I like you. I think you're actually a great comedian.
Thank you.
I like you on the news. Shalom Bitch is really played out, but he said...
It really is.
He said...
That's what hacks do.
He said that was so bad and so racist.
Oh, it's so
there's nothing worse. Artie, you know there's nothing worse than a guy who's like blue and bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, hey, look, that's your opinion, but I happen to know Ike. He's a good guy, but I don't. I'm not at all their shows. I do horrible shows too. I've been drunk, and there's people want their money back constantly.
All right, Ike, thank you very much. Ike from Mad TV.
Love you.
Ike's a good guy. Yeah.
Brian, go ahead. You have the last word on this, and then we have to move along. Robin has news to get to. Yes, Brian.
I just feel if you're comedians, you should have a sense of humor, guys.
Really?
We do, man. I'm saying it again and again and again. It's the same thing before.
I mean, if you want to get into overdone stuff, that guy's right. Coming back from Pittsburgh, I listened to the news. I heard Shalom Bitch like 40 times in an hour. It's really, you want to jump out the window. You got douche chills from it.
Really? What about when the fans come out of your show and say they've heard the same jokes for the past 3
Well,
years?
I mean, you know, they shouldn't come to see me twice.
All right. Well, they feel it's played out, too, just so you know. Yeah, FYI.
I'll try. You should listen to some news reports, man. The Shalom Bitch thing is like...
Really? I don't know.
Said so much. I mean, sometimes he says it like 8 times in a 20-minute period. Biatch or Shalom Biatch, you know.
And I could care less about that. That has no reflection of what kind of comedian I am.
Well, I think it does.
I don't. I don't at all.
I don't think it was funny the first time I heard it.
If you're empty-headed enough to hear 2 words, Shalom Bitch, and then base that on who I am as a comic, then that's your fucking problem. I got no time to impress you or try and work with you.
I always thought Shalom Bitch was sort of a fun thing.
If it wasn't, I would have gotten a memo of some sort to stop doing it.
I'm just too lazy to write a memo.
All right. I'll stop. Sorry.
Listen to the playback.
All right, Brian. Thank you. Yeah, Clint, you're on the air.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey.
Hey, listen, Shuli, you got to stop fucking crying, man. If you didn't have Howard and Artie, you'd be fucking bagging groceries at Stop and Shop.
Well, and that's what I was doing part-time before I got here. And I realize that, and I appreciate the opportunity that I have, but I'm not going to let somebody talk shit about my comedy and say that I'm not original when I know that I am. I'm sorry. I'm
Again,
going
I
to stand up for myself.
don't recall saying that.
That's what a hack means.
No,
if Artie called you a nut-hugging pillow fighter, you should be thrilled. It's any kind of promotion for you.
Well, no, not necessarily. Maybe that.
Whether
Look,
you like them or not.
if that was the case, then I'd come running in here and let them throw things in my ass and let people touch my cock. I'm not. That's not my route. That's not what I do.
Well, so what are you saying? That you're talking about guys in the Killers now.
Right, yeah, you're not.
No, what I'm saying is that there's guys
but I
that
could
do
see
different...
Shuli's point. Like, if you went on Letterman and called me a hack, I'd be upset.
Well, I mean...
you can understand that.
Yeah, I think recently on the Jimmy Kimmel show, you got engaged, and I said, what a fruit.
I didn't take offense.
Right, because I was kidding?
Yes, of course.
Get it?
Got it.
Plus, I am a fruit. Anybody who gets engaged is a fruit.
Yeah, poor
See, there is some truth to it.
There is truth in it, though.
Well, that's my point in all
I
this.
hate that it's true.
I think I laughed right after I even said it, and then even after I did.
It's sort of like they said, who are the killers of comedy? You say, oh, you mean the hacks?
And he does know who you are. He knew we were kidding around. Half the shit I said about the host and he said about me. We were busting each other's balls.
Jim, go ahead. Yes, Jim. Nope. Jim's gone. All right, last word. Come on, I really do have to end this. Greg, go ahead. You're on the air in Minneapolis.
Seriously, the Hack Pack should now be called the Pussy Pack, and what a bunch of whiny bitches. How could Artie possibly insult the comedic talents of a half-rate news reporter and a couple of phony phone callers?
That's a good point.
All right, listen, Shuli, the people are speaking out. They're saying you're too sensitive. But what do I know? I mean, I understand. I'm a sensitive guy. I understand what you're saying.
Like if somebody said you're unoriginal, you would take offense to that.
I would be offended.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, but don't you think you'd be a little secure if a radio guy called you unoriginal?
Yes.
I mean, would you go on and talk about it?
No, I wouldn't give it a second thought.
But if the radio guy has a huge percentage of people that hear what he says and believe it the second it comes out of his mouth, wouldn't you be a little upset about that?
I agree with the fact, if you're going to say that I have a unique position where I'm on the mic all the time, I understand that. I didn't say it here. I said it on Raw Dog, where probably the host, Pete Dominic's family, and you guys is who listens to that show.
I got emails and text messages all day yesterday about it. A bunch of people heard it. They follow you around. Whatever show you go on, they go, Artie's here, Artie's there, and they love you and they listen to you.
I don't think I have enough power to get people not to buy a ticket to see you. You should worry more about
that.
And why would I? Yeah, what would my motive be?
That's what I don't understand. That's why it's such a mystery to me that he would go on the air and say that
Because I'm not
shit.
doing it with that intent.
All right, let's move on. Thank you, Shuli. Artie, I'm sorry we've run out of time for this
We can't resolve this.
session. We don't seem to be able to. Shuli, thank you.
He's still angry.
Oh, yes. I got a note from Richie Wilson over at Howard TV. Says he got Arbitron Radio.
But let's kick off with what everyone seems to be so sensitive about, which is Artie's comments and Shuli coming in, Sal coming in, Levy calling. Is everyone overreacting? Is there too much sensitivity there? Is there meaning behind the words? Gary, what do you think?
Here's how I see it. Artie was totally joking around, no doubt. But Artie only jokes around with people he likes to fuck with. And on something like J.D. was saying, Artie will only goof on people he doesn't respect. And to put it in perspective, would Artie ever go on that show and make fun of Howard and make fun of Howard's show and make fun of the show, even though he knew he was only kidding? Would he ever do that?
He's done it in the roasts before, but he's never just said,
different.
hey.
That's different. That's not outside of here.
And he already even gave the example. He said, he called Howard a fruit because he got engaged.
But that's different because you call Howard a fruit to his face.
No, he did it on, did you do that on a talk show?
Kimmel.
He did it on Kimmel.
Oh, okay.
So he does, but I don't know.
Artie, let's just ask Artie because he's standing here. The rap is that this is what the guys are saying, you won't make fun of somebody that you respect that way. Like, do you go on other shows that goof on Howard and Howard's show? I'm just asking. I'm playing devil's advocate.
I don't know how else to put it except the fact that I was kidding around. I don't know, I don't...
But you do know that those guys are sensitive, right?
Yeah, I know, but they're going to have to get over that.
But is there a part of you that is it fun to fuck with them because you know that they're so sensitive?
Yeah. Well, if you tease a guy in the playground and he doesn't care, you never do it again.
Right. That's funny.
By the way, I just got the funniest call from Billy Mira. He's like, he calls me up and goes, you guys should thank your lucky fucking stars. He goes, I got rejected from the Hack Pack. Where does that put me? Because I can't even get into this lineup.
I mean, I only said it because, hack rhymes with pack.
I just want to say this, and that is, it wouldn't bother me so much if it wasn't somebody that I respected and that I enjoyed working with and I consider a friend. and that's what... Look, you laugh all you want, dude, but I'm being upfront and honest with you, man. I don't know what your problem is with me, but,
I didn't have a problem with you. I mean, I didn't.
All right, well, I'm just telling you where I'm coming from, that's all.
I know.
All right?
All right, good.
I think one of the most interesting...
I'll watch my mouth from now on.
No, say whatever you want. I don't give a shit at this point. Say whatever you want. I don't care.
Okay.
That's fine.
I think one of the most interesting points that Artie made during that whole thing, Shuli, was... If he really thought you guys were hacks or whatever else, why would he work with you? Why would he keep booking you? Why would he keep using all of you guys?
But you heard the clip. Did that sound like it was in a joke context?
Yeah, and then I said Levy's a great comic, and even Howard said he thought it was joking around.
But all of us, right? And when the guy says, are the Killers of Comedy new comics just doing it just because they can draw people in? Why wouldn't you say, like, no, they're not new comics, or, at least state that you know us. You make it sound like you don't even know us. Well, where else would I'd rather you trash us on OutQ than on Raw Dog, the comedy channel.
I wasn't asked on OutQ. I'll gladly trash you there if I can get on.
Shuli, do you really think it's going to affect your ticket sales?
No, I don't think it affects the ticket sales. I think it affects I think it affects the fact that people come to the show and yell shit out. And
that's the kid who hosted it.
That's Pete Dominant.
Yeah, get him in there.
Hey, when you
he
guys...
was fucking with you, not me.
When you guys go on, what's the order that you guys go in?
I host, and then it's Richard usually, then Yucko, then Sal.
So Richard's
Jim
a bigger hack than Sal, then,
Jim
right?
Florentine's on it.
Why? Depending on where you stand?
Well, I would think that if Richard goes before you, you're the better hack and he's the worst hack.
I'm hack number 3. Richard's hack number 1. Yeah.
Will, what do you think of all this?
About these guys?
Yeah.
I know about the situation.
I think there's an element of it from Artie that's a little bit serious. I think he does kind of think they're not that funny. And I think they're very sensitive about it because on some level they do believe that, they're kind of starting out and they sell on the show because they're on the show.
Have you noticed that since any one of these things I've said about you, that you're not doing as much business for some reason?
No, it's not that. It's just a question of...
What is it then?
I think, can I jump in? I don't think they care about ticket sales. I think their feelings are hurt. They respect you and they look up to you. Like, when you made that joke about Richard, 10 roasts ago, he was, devastated.
Not to mention, he went up on stage the next 3 times that he went up on stage, and they wouldn't let him get a fucking word out. They just started yelling shit that you said about him on the roast.
It was practically Melrose Larry at that point.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it's not fair to him. The guy is good. He's got good material. At least let him give him a chance. And
how long do you do on the show, Sal?
About 15 minutes. When I do,
is that true?
I mean, there's I'd say between 10 and 15.
It all depends, too. If there's less guys, I do...
You do the same 10 minutes?
Yeah, about the same right now. I've been doing it.
What are some of your jokes?
I don't want to I'll tell you what they are. They all have the N-word in them, the Jew word in them.
You do stuff about Gary's teeth?
No, not one Gary teeth.
No, is that true, Shuli?
He doesn't. He doesn't do one.
Can you tell me any show stuff?
Can you tell me one joke in your act that doesn't bring in some sort of ethnic person?
No, but that's my... Like Lisa Lampanelli, that's my thing. That's my forte. I like doing.
But he does a lot of relationship stuff that has nothing to do with racial.
I tell you, I saw him in AC a few weeks ago, and that set was the most racist.
Yeah, it is. It's bad.
That's what I thought when I saw you.
It was funny, but I mean, geez Louise.
What percentage, Will? What percentage of the jokes were racist?
100%. It was all. He went down the list. He went hit the blacks, then he hit the Jews, then he hit the Koreans.
What's a black joke you do?
I don't know.
What is it?
You know how it is. I don't know.
The one you told me before you're working on, that was funny. The one with the fingers.
No, that's one I'm working. You're working on the Pitbull joke, so I was working on.
It's done.
What is it? How's that one go again?
The Pitbull joke is the other day I've been very tense lately. So the other day, I can see already. So the other day I'm walking down the street and I see an African American man walking a pit bull, and I ran to the other side of the road because I've heard those things can just go crazy and out of nowhere can kill you. And plus, I've heard the same thing about pit bulls. So now, what's yours?
Well, the one I was trying to work on one. I don't want to get into it.
Well, I want to hear it.
I once dated a black girl that fingered my ass, but she bothered me because she wouldn't wash her hands afterwards, and I didn't know which finger was dirty. So that's the one I'm working.
So the fact that shit is the same color as a black person,
and the fact that a pit bull is just as dangerous as a black person. Yeah.
No, a killer, murderer. Pete, did you think I was being disrespectful to them in any way, shape, or form?
Let's introduce Pete.
Yeah, this is Pete Dominic, who hosts Raw Dog Comedy by Request, which is on noon Eastern. There's your plug, Pete.
Thanks, guys.
You're somewhat objective in this situation. You were there. When Artie said what he said, was he kidding? Was he serious? What did you think, Pete?
The other day I heard Artie on the show refer to the girls, the hookers were from Oregon, and then he said Oregon. And I thought, how that's so funny. It's a play on. I thought I laughed out loud in my car. Same thing here. He didn't think about it at all. Whack pack, hack pack.
Right.
But
I didn't have it premeditated. I'm saying not everyone. Just people in Oregon who aren't whores.
The thing is that there's an unspoken rule. There's an unspoken rule that I, as a comedian in New York who's been working in New York 10 years, all the clubs, if you get slammed, it doesn't matter how bad it hurts. If it's funny, that's all that matters. Artie slammed me twice on your show today and on my show. The whole show he slammed me. And today he said, it's Pete Dominic. I mean, who listens to the show besides his wife and family? I'm like, hey, wait, that was funny.
Right.
Like, it hurts sometimes, but it's funny. And Shuli, like, I talked to him about it yesterday. I don't know. I understand the sensitivity, but comics are comics. We're really mean to each other for the sake of funny.
Go sit at that table above the Comedy Cellar one night. I mean, you'll walk out of there crying.
I leave there listening to a Tony Robbins tape.
I mean, we're comedians. We're laughing. We're joking around. I was joking around. I mean, you're acting like a ninth grade girl. I mean, come on.
Let's take some calls, find out what other people are thinking. Let's go to Kathy in Connecticut. Kathy, you're on the wrap-up show.
Hey, how are you?
Good, Kathy. What are you thinking?
I think Artie's just kidding. If anything, he knows it strikes a chord with them, and he just wants to see their reaction.
But if you know it strikes a chord with somebody, isn't that in an underlying way being a tiny bit mean?
And then Pete made a good point too, where I didn't go in there premeditating. Like he brought them up, and I want to go back because I don't know, was just trying to think on my feet and be funny. I don't think that's brilliantly funny, but it's something I thought of on the spot.
If you know it pushes our buttons, and once you push it, like. And then instead of saying I just did it,
fat jokes tend to push my buttons, and we get off a lot of them every show. I mean, can I give you guys a list of what I can't talk? You can't talk about with me. I mean, get a thicker skin or shut up.
You don't enjoy being asked to be weighed every day?
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Do I ask you to get on the scale every day?
Oh, Shuli, come on.
No, do I? But you attacked me as a comic. Do I attack you as a fat guy every day and say get on the scale? No, I don't.
You're part of the awful machine that does it, though.
All right.
David Cleveland, you're on the wrap-up show.
How's it going, guys?
Good.
Hey, I wanted to say real quick, when I was listening to it, I understood both parts. But when they played Artie on the show, as soon as he said that, he goes on to talk about how great Bob is.
Right, but see, can I just jump in for a second?
I thought that was agreed to.
I thought that it was the part that made me think it was more of a dig was because Bob Levy, very funny comedian, he sold jokes to Chappelle, so he's even digging on Bob.
He writes jokes for
right. I don't know.
Which is a very inside joke. First of all, half of the people listening might think he really writes jokes.
Exactly. You might have done him a favor.
Yeah, because that was an inside thing. And again, it's kidding around. It's stuff I would say at a roast. I mean, every day here is kind of a roast.
Mike in Virginia, you're on the wrap-up show.
Hey, I just called Artie's phone number, and there's nothing being accepted into his mailbox. It's full already.
Yeah, it's all fucked.
How long are you going to keep it this way, Artie?
Well, huge business I'm running is at a halt at this point. I mean,
Artie, when you gave out the number,
I've got to move T-shirts.
When you gave out the number, were you thinking, you might have still been thinking terrestrial radio. Were you thinking West Coast feed, 6 plays a day? Were you thinking that?
Well,
like every 4.5 hours, you won't be able to get in your phone.
Well, I think it's probably done. I got to change it, I guess, now.
So Owen Wilson's not a pussy after all.
Well, no. For other reasons he is, I'm sure.
Mike, what do you think of this whole situation?
I think it's very fucked up what he did to the Whack Pack. It was supposed to be his friend.
The Whack Pack? I would never do that to the Whack Pack.
Excuse me, the Hack Pack.
Thank you.
It is catchy.
No, but my question is this.
That's a great name.
Let me ask you this. If you do it like you're saying, to bust our balls, push our buttons. So now the button's been pushed. Now you see we're pissed. Why would you dangle gigs over my head after that and say, look what Shuli talked himself out of? If it's solely just for ball busting purposes.
I can be a motherfucker.
Okay, so then be honest. How about that? Instead of being a motherfucker, be honest.
How am I not being honest? What are you talking about?
Because you're saying you're doing it just to bust our balls. You're playing around. It's just a joke. And then when you push the button and I come in and I say, this pissed me off, then you go, well, listen to what Shuli talked himself out of. Listen to these gigs Shuli's not going to be on now.
Artie's a kingmaker.
Yeah, well,
you're
putting me in that status for some reason. I don't understand.
You said it.
I got to go, but I just want to say, him saying that on my show is one thing. You bringing it up and this whole issue on your show. Like, how many people listen to my show?
Dude, I got so many emails and texts yesterday from people the second it came out of his mouth. That's
you got a big show
people
going.
Follow him wherever he goes.
They follow me.
I know, but you saying it, you bringing up the joke he made about you on the Howard Stern show today did 10,000 times more damage than him saying it as a throwaway.
Right. The only people who heard it yesterday were Pete's cousin and wife.
Exactly. My cousin, I pay for both their subscriptions. It's annoying.
Pete, I know you got to go. Give a plug again to your show.
12 noon every day, 12 to 1. Raw Dog 104, and I'll be opening for Artie this weekend. And if you want to punch me in the face, that's fine.
He's my new host.
What were you doing on that show, Artie? Hosting the Dane Cook versus Harry Shearer playoff?
Thanks, Pete, for stopping by.
I just lost as the captain of the Italian team.
Thank you.
All right, let's go back to the phones. Nick in Brooklyn, you're on the wrap-up show.
Yeah, how you doing, guys? I'm a big fan. I love your show. And I'm totally on Artie's side. I mean, he's just joking around, busting balls, and Shuli came out looking like some little punk bitch, and that's all he is. And if I was Artie, I wouldn't give him any more gigs, because then Artie would look like a pussy by association. And
this guy's old school.
Very much.
One more thing. He made a fucking comment. Some guy on the phone called up and said that Artie was right, and he was just joking. And then he says something like, oh, go sell your fruit. Like Shuli's better than a fucking fruit vendor.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Shuli, you ain't.
You got that right, sir. Good point.
Julie's on his high horse.
Thank you, Nick from Brooklyn.
I'm better than fruit vendors. It's official.
You're no better than Eddie the produce guy. Don't ever forget that.
That's for sure.
All right, let's take one last call on this. We'll go to Harry in Pittsburgh. Harry, you're on the wrap-up show.
Afternoon, guys. Hey, we were down in Pittsburgh for the show when Artie and them guys came down. And in my opinion, Shuli and Bob Levy, all those guys were a lot funnier than Artie. So Shuli, don't worry about it. You're pretty funny guy.
See?
It's not a question of that, dude. It's just a question, like I said, it's a guy I respect that I thought was a friend of mine. That
this guy's saying you're funnier than a guy you respect.
Yeah, but I'm not. But to me, it's not about me stating that I'm funnier than you. I don't care about that. That's not the issue. You're a peer. You're somebody I respect in this industry.
Well, now you're insulting me by calling me your peer.
Well, whatever. Then you say that I'm a hack. Then that tells me the guy I thought my friend is not my friend and doesn't respect me as a comic.
I'm your friend. I'm your friend. I respect you as a comedian.
I know we're not bros.
He's your very annoyed and tired friend, but he is your friend.
This is how women win arguments. They won't shut up.
They wear you down.
Finally, you go, all right, fine. I'll go to your sisters.
You seem to be separating yourself, though, from the rest of the guys. Do you feel like...
Fine, Shuli, I'll go to your wedding.
No, I'm doing this for the group. I'm doing this for all of us. I don't feel that anybody in this group is a hack. To me, a hack is somebody who's...
You think you're a better comic than Richard Christie, right?
I've been doing it longer, absolutely.
So are there different levels?
Are you a better comic than Sal?
But hold on a second. Doing it longer doesn't make you better.
No, I disagree with that, and I think Artie would disagree with that, too. I think the more you do it, the more years you do it, the better you get at it. If you're learning something
the more you do it, the better you get at it. But it doesn't always mean just because you've been doing it longer that you're better than someone. Do you think you're...
No, I agree.
Do you think you're a funnier comedian than Richard?
I do, yes.
What about Sal?
You know, I can answer for that. Let me tell you something. Shuli goes into a venue with 1,000 hungry, rabid fans, and you know how hard it is for a host to get a show rolling. Mm-hmm. Nobody gets them and hooks them quicker than Shuli. He does a phenomenal job. So,
what does that mean?
Thank you for answering the question.
Well, I'm asking Shuli. No one's asking me to answer for him.
But I'm just telling you the caliber of who Shuli is.
I think so.
Okay.
Listen, I've been to those gigs. It's tough to be the first one out there.
You were there
and
in Tampa.
I don't think Sal could walk out first. Do you know what I mean?
It's
I think
hard,
somebody's got to come out and get it rolling. I think as soon as Sal comes out, you're predisposed to certain things, and you're going to start yelling crap out.
It's a tough crowd.
Shuli's got to be out
very
first.
tough crowd.
I think that's what it has to do a lot with, is that Shuli kind of separates himself from those guys, and he sees himself as a better comic, and he doesn't want to be lumped in with that quote-unquote hack pack.
But I don't think of them as hacks. I want to say that. I don't think Sal, Richard, Bob, anybody, Jim, Yucko, I don't think any of them are hacks.
I'm not the only one who calls Levy a hack, by the way.
Yeah, but you're a good friend of his, though, bro. Don't you understand that?
See, I think Levy's the only one old enough to really be considered a hack.
No, but again,
I'm joking, Bob.
Jeff, I was listening to Roast Week, and Greg Giraldo called him a hack 3 times in his thing. I mean, you know,
but he doesn't work with Greg Giraldo every other weekend.
Well,
you know,
that's because Greg thinks he's a hack. I don't.
Jeff in Connecticut, what do you think about this conversation?
Honestly, what happened at the show? Back in the day, Fred would take shit for 3 days, Jackie for fucking months. Now you guys are going to talk about your feelings. Oh, my feelings are hurt. Just fucking rib on each other. Let it go.
It's true.
Is everyone a little too sensitive
You
here?
should keep this bullshit for off the air.
No, my vagina has a discharge right now. Creamy discharge.
All right.
So do you think anybody in the Killers of Comedy is a hack?
Who are you asking?
Shuli.
No, I just said I don't think anybody on this bill, Jim Florentine, Yucko, Sal, Richard, Bob, I don't think anybody's a hack on there.
So the hack pack is a misnomer.
List the comics, number 1 to the last.
As far as who's the best comic?
Yes.
Yeah, that's not the question. That's not what I'm here for.
Hear it. Well, you started
Let me hear you list it. Let me hear you list it.
I think you all suck.
Start with So I agree.
Start with Mickey Mantle and end with Mendoza.
Well, would you put Levy number 1? Would you do that?
Absolutely.
You would?
Absolutely.
You're number 2, you think?
I think maybe me and Jim might be close.
So you're as good as Jim?
I think Jim might be a little bit better than me, in my opinion.
And then the Mendoza line, is that where it comes in after that point?
The Governale line? See, Sal doesn't know baseball, so he doesn't know.
I mean, the point is,
you guys are drawing that line,
we're talking about opinions and stupidity.
I thought Mendoza was a fruit vendor. I'm sorry.
We're all very lucky to be working.
Absolutely.
I mean, look, and we're in a very unique position to be on a show that sells tickets. I mean, come on.
Right. Who do you think on that crew could sell tickets on their own, and who needs the help of the show to sell tickets? Like, could Richard and Sal go out on their own as just comedians that don't have the help of the Howard Stern show and sell out a show?
Well, they don't have the time. Right. They physically wouldn't have the time to do it, you know.
Let me explain. What he means is they don't have enough time that they could physically put together.
Minutes.
Right.
Minutes.
They would have to get...
Sal does 10 to 12, say 10 to 15
minutes. No, you have 45 minutes of material.
Not 45.
No,
when I do shows by myself, if I do a show without the Killers or whatever, I do about 25.
So why wouldn't you do 25?
Because there's 5 guys.
You'd have to get a headline.
You need at least 35 to 40 minutes minimum. I don't have that.
Right, you need to have 2 guys that could do like 15 or 20 minutes and then a headliner that does close to an hour to put together a show. Because if somebody's paying money and Richard comes up and does 15 minutes...
Well, I'm not talking about the time. I'm talking about more of the quality of the material.
All right, we're going to take
whatever.
We're going to take a quick break.
I don't know. I mean,
you know what
I don't know. Well, you've seen a lot of comedians. What do you think?
Yeah, they need the help of the show, of course. I think they know that, though.
Absolutely.
We all need the help of the show, is the point.
So what's going on with the thing today now? That was all I hear is like I'm at a party and somebody's going, "Oh, you're getting killed on the radio."
What party are you at 8:20 in the morning?
No, I was getting my son ready. We're at Belmore Lakes in Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big thing.
One of those awful memories you'll have to get rid of in therapy.
Yes. Well, no, we're drinking this weekend.
Daddy had vodka at Belmore Lake, and someone called him a hack. And
yeah, to give you a 20-second recap, Bob, Artie was on a show yesterday. He referred to the Killers of Comedy as the Hack Pack. And Shuli was very upset about that, came in during the show and let everybody, particularly Artie, know how he felt.
Boy, did he let me have it.
And then some.
But then I said, look, I was kidding because someone asked me a question about the Killers of Comedy, and as a quick joke, I said, hackback. It's not even a funny. It's just like, you're thinking, you're just busting chops. And then I said, no, honestly, Bob Levy was a great comedian as a part of that. And honestly, you were the only name that I thought his audience would know.
And then he said he writes jokes for Chappelle.
And then I said he also writes jokes for Dave Chappelle. Which, right. So that's it. That's all it was. And Shuli got me. Listen, I feel bad about the fact that, Shuli is trying hard to work as a comic, and I don't mean to hurt a guy whose career is sort of just starting and blossoming a little bit, so I feel bad about that. I don't think he's a hack. I don't think Levy's a hack. I think you guys put on a funny show. You should go see The Killers of Comedy. And I work with Bob all the time. I work with Shuli all the time, and if I didn't like...
Artie, can I interrupt for a second?
I think that if I really thought you guys sucked, why would I put you on my show?
What's so funny?
I know what's funny.
That's like Sal's apology. Yeah, right.
No, but Artie gets into this cadence that just reeks of instant...
What do you want me to do?
No, I don't want you to...
Hi, you're like, this is Artie Lang.
He just goes, listen, Killers of Comedy are funny. I think he's a funny guy. Like, it sounds like there's a gun to his head.
Do you realize how much, it's a good thing I'm not some sort of egomaniac, because you guys are putting me on some sort of pedestal here where you really are so into what I say, and you think other people are into what I say. It's really not the case, man. You take me out of the show, and I'm, featuring for Attell in Missouri. And trying to get back on a sitcom as a fat neighbor, which, is a great future.
I think the thing that got the guys going and everything is the part when you say the word hack is like calling almost like a black guy the N-word to a comedian. And
no, it's not. No.
To a comedian, it feels that way.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
That's what I think.
Do you think? What would you think? Chappelle would rather be called a hack or a nigger?
Probably the N-word. I mean, as a comedian, that's how I feel. You know what I mean?
A lot of hacks have been lynched already.
I think you'd rather be called a hack than a nigger. I mean, come on.
Hey, Bob, Shuli did something sort of interesting. He ranked the Killers of Comedy. If you're out on tour and you've got Artie, what would your lineup be? Like, from best to worst, knowing all of them are good, of course.
Well, everybody, look, I am proud of, both of the tours. I think they're both killer tours. That, you know what I mean?
What tour? I don't have a tour. I'm not touring.
But you are. When you do a show, that's basically, you're touring when you're out there.
No,
you know what I mean?
How much? First of all, how much time does Sal do on each show?
On the bigger shows that we do with, like me and Florentine, and that, he'd probably do 15.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then me and Jim would do the bulk of the time, and then Shuli would do, a lot of the time up front.
Is Shuli better than Florentine as a comedian?
As a comedian, Shuli's really good, but I don't think he's not better than Jim. You know what I mean? But he's very good. Everybody, I'm proud of all of them. I think they're all doing a great job.
Who's the least talented on the Killers?
Yeah, let's get right to.
The one that if you had to drop,
you know what?
You had to push one off the boat.
Who's getting cut?
I don't think I wouldn't cut anybody. I really think everybody does a great job in their own
You got to
right,
cut one guy. Gun to your head, you got to cut one guy.
I would, the only one I would cut is probably Richard, only because...
all right, enough said. Levy thinks Richard sucks. Fine, we get it.
No.
What do you mean, Richard? Why is Richard a prima donna?
Richard's the worst comic on the tour.
No, he's not.
He's the hackiest of the Packers.
He always got to have the certain plane trips. It's just a lot of work with him. That's the only thing.
But by the way, that's another thing. I got a mouthful about Richard's prima donna shit.
What do you mean? Because I get the other end of it.
Bob, can I get into this? Or
okay, let me quickly tell you.
Richard might be assholing himself out of a gig.
Here's what I get. What I get from Richard is, because he comes to me and he says...
Yes.
Hold on, Bob. He comes to me and he says... God, when I do these trips with Bob finds the cheapest ticket he can find.
Right.
Which sends me, if we're playing Miami, I got to fly from, Atlanta to Chicago back down to Miami.
Not true at all.
And he said that, by the time I get there, I'm so fucking exhausted.
We only have one flight. It's always one flight, but he doesn't like to get on a smaller plane sometimes. And
Bob, you told me that you've missed a plane at least once because Richard was drinking and said, "Look, you got to come find me. I'm getting drunk." Otherwise,
no, he wasn't. He was drinking at the bar.
That never happened.
Away from the thing.
It's Rescue Me Extras Richard Christie. Richard, are you a prima donna? Is that a fair...
No, is it too much to ask? When we were in Toronto, I got stuck in an airport for a full day because I didn't get to book my own flight.
Yeah, but nobody gets to book their own. There's 6 guys. How can you let each
Jim
person
Florentine
book their own
booked
flight?
his own flight.
He was the only one because he was coming from somewhere else.
All I ask
we
is...
we had a limo picking us up. You can't have a limo come 6 times.
I would have paid for my own cab. I don't mind. All I ask, I like booking my own flights when we do these comedy shows because a promoter is not going to give a shit about how you get there. They're going to put you on a small plane, give you flights where you have to do layovers. If I book my own, I'll do a direct flight to wherever we're going, and I'll make sure it's a full-size plane. That's the only thing. I'm terrified of flying, and I don't think that's being a prima donna that I don't want to fly a prop plane to somewhere.
Well, I was on Bob's side, but now I'm on Richard's side.
No, it's not a prop plane at all. It's
you guys had to fly a prop plane from Cleveland back to New York.
That was one time. That was one time. We were on
but that one time, I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry. I
agree with Richard.
Yeah, Bob, if you guys would have booked your own flights, you would have known that you weren't going to be on a prop plane. You guys didn't even know until you got to the airport that you had to fly a prop plane because the booking agent or the promoter booked that flight.
Bob, if Richard's willing to handle his own ground transportation on both ends, and he calls you up and says, I got a flight, and this is how much it is, what's the big deal if he books his own flight?
No, I mean, that's fine, but he's going to have to get from the airport. He's going to have, all that stuff.
But I've said I would do that. Yeah, I would take care of that myself. I don't mind.
I know. The main thing is trying to get people the money because you know what I mean? Because I got 6 guys on the show, and he's got Gary telling him what he should make a show, and I can't afford that.
Well, that's another thing in Pittsburgh. I got 3 hours from Levy about how big of an asshole Richard is.
I'm not telling Richard what he should make a show.
Richard. Levy thinks that Richard consulted you and you gave him a way too high price. And now
I didn't give him any price. I didn't give him a price at all. He said he felt he was being underpaid, and I said to him, Artie, you and I had this conversation on the plane.
Right. I told you what I think you should be making based on your status if you come.
But we're not even talking about that. I said, if you're unhappy with what Bob is paying you, then your choice is to either accept it or go out on your own and do your own thing.
But that's the thing. Like, I don't think it's a prima donna to say, hey, this is how much money I would like to get. If they're not willing to pay it, then I just won't do the show. I don't mind not doing the shows. I'm not asking or forcing people to give me this amount of money. I'm saying, hey, if they don't want to pay it, then fine. I would rather not do the show.
We'd all like to make a certain amount of money on every gig, but sometimes you can't. And the main thing is for the future to build the tour up where it's going to be huge, and we're going to be making huge money.
I know. The thing is,
we all take a beat.
But, Bob, like you, I know you and Sal and Shuli, like you, I don't want to kind of say that you need the money, but this is your living, Bob, and so you take a lot more gigs than I do. I can afford not to do a lot of these gigs, so to make it worth me being terrified of flying and going through the hassle of being stuck in an airport all day, I would like to get a certain amount of money for a gig.
Yeah, Richard told me, he would tell me, this is the only thing I consulted him on, Bob. He would tell me what he would make to go to, say, Los Angeles for the weekend and do 4 shows, and it sounded to me like a very low amount of money. Now, I'm not putting the tour together, and I said, if you don't like that money, then you shouldn't do it. And Richard is such a nice guy, he doesn't want to beg off the tour because then Sal won't be able to go, and Sal really does
Wait a minute, why is that? Why do Richard...
Sal will go.
Sal can still go, yeah.
But Richard said, if I leave, then you were telling me that you thought that he wouldn't hire both you and Sal together, or that you and Sal didn't want to walk away.
No, it's not like that.
Levy told me, of course you would hire Sal.
And the thing is, too, like, I always think of it this way. If a promoter's not willing to pay me the amount of money I'm asking for, then I won't do the show. I don't mind not doing the show, and then you guys can get more money. Like, I don't mind that. I think that would help you guys out, too. I'm not being a prima donna by asking for a certain amount of money, which, I mean, I realize I'm not very confident in myself, and I don't think I deserve a ton of money, but...
Yeah, but it's not about, Richard, it's not about the stand-up. It's the promotion that you bring to these gigs. You and Sal bring the most promotion to everybody, so that's why you're so valuable to the tour.
Here's what it is. This is what it is.
And I think he gets paid a nice amount for doing 10 minutes on a show, and I'm telling you.
But it's not just... Hold on, Bob. It's not just about the 10 minutes he does. It's about the promotion. You guys need each other. Bob,
we all need each other. I do promotion too.
But forget about the promotion you do. They're doing the promotion on the show,
right?
And that goes a much longer way. So they need to be compensated for that. But they can't put a full show on without you, and you need to be compensated for that. And that's a conversation I had with Richard. I never gave him numbers, man.
Okay, no, that's what I'm saying. We work as a team, and I want to keep this going.
Richard's not feeling like a part of the team.
Well, he's making good money. If I told you, I don't want to say the price over the air, but I mean, anybody at home would be, are you fucking kidding me?
The only thing that doesn't make sense is you've said you're taking $11 bus rides, and I mean, do you need the money or not? I mean, you know.
No, I'm doing okay, but my thing is I hate traveling and I hate flying so much that I want to put kind of a high price out there to make it worth me being terrified of flying to go somewhere.
Well, that's fair. So you're being honest, and Bob's saying maybe you can't afford it. So you know,
if they can't afford it, I totally understand, and I just won't do those certain shows.
How much are these hacks making? We got to wrap up the wrap-up show. Thanks to everybody, Bob, for calling in, and this inside look at the killers of comedy.
Chào các mọi người, và bên em lại về thêm một chiếc xe i10 2018. Con này vẫn là cái nô chuyến trước đấy, cũng vẫn là bơi nội thôi. Tuy nhiên là nói chung bên em xử lý rất là ok rồi. Sản xuất 2018, xe còn rất là mới. i10 số tự động rất là tiện lợi cho mọi người, đưa đón con đi học hay là che mưa che nắng, hay là nói chung là tiện.